bring that up? I bring that up because the knowledge that we read, the knowledge that we learn and then adhere to, it determines our mental or strength or weakness. But your mental or strength or weakness, your mental or mental. Does that mean feedback?
No. That was me. I
Okay.
got you set up. I just had to clean everything up and get you rolling, brother.
Okay. What I'm saying, the knowledge you read determines your mental strength or weakness. But your mental or strength or weakness is a display of your spiritual strength or weakness. Then that's why when we know that somebody needs to get stronger, we make sure what? We start giving them the script in any area. Let's say brothers having issues with the women. Let's say brothers having issues on this job. That's why we go to topic-specific scriptures when we in counsel. Imagine you in counsel and somebody just putting out verses and scriptures that ain't got nothing to do with the issue that the counsel is handling. So that's why every time something is going down, or we have to counsel a brother or a sister or a family, whatever, we're always dealing with the scriptures that pertain to the topic or that pertain to the issue that the person being counseled is dealing with. And in that capacity, they become stronger to get through that issue. And this is just the life of being taken through more issues. So it's without that, you can have the knowledge all you want to, but until the Most High put you in a circumstance where you have to be conscious of how you're using the knowledge, you're not going to get strong. You listen, you can keep on studying and you might become very dexterous in getting to the book and getting to being able to maneuver through the book, being able to get to and pull all the verses. But how do you handle your circumstances? How much, like you talked about the blessing, the Most High fronted it to you, but now you got the affliction that come through it or the adversity. But that's what makes you responsible. That's why a lot of people run from responsibility. They'll have an opportunity, but they'll pass on it. Because why? Because that it's like anything. For instance, it's the reason for which a person buys a certain, let's say, a price of a home or a certain quality or price range of a car. That I ain't about to go out and get no Bentley. Why? That's too much responsibility. I ain't got the money to. Let's say I had the money to actually put a down payment, because I had homeboys that did this way back when we was teenagers. Cats was working 5 jobs buying Porsches, but didn't have the money. They could only make the payment. They couldn't cover insurance. They couldn't cover maintenance. They could you could just take that down the street to the Ford shop. You had to go to the actual Porsche shop. Had this cat, man, he might be watching, so I ain't going to mention it, but he's off in California. But you know who you are that bought that Porsche back in like 1982, 83? Anyway, you did, huh?
I know.
No, I'm talking to him if he's out there listening. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I ain't gonna mention no name, but the point is, brother was doing that, and what? It was too much responsibility for them. Now that was because those decisions was made unwisely. They were made off of a carnal, I want to be seen driving a Porsche at the age of 19, right? Well, you have opportunities that the Most High is going to bring us to collectively and individually. He's going to get, like you say, front us blessings. But then what does that blessing cost you? You know what I mean? What is it that you have to give? What is it that you have to invest to just the mental capacity and say, okay, I'm ready for this. But then all the responsibility. And that is what the Most High uses to build us. You know what I mean? And so it's you can have all the knowledge you want, you can be for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. If you made it a point to only do scriptures and avoid affliction and pacify, that's one of the reasons why I don't pacify my teaching. Because I've seen what men do. I've seen what happens to people who grow up being fed weak, being given the diminished word or the word diminished, not trying to offend. The Most High said, blessed is everyone in Christ who is not offended. Why? Because the truth is going to offend people. They ain't looking for the truth. But what happens? That shows you that person really let's say when they first get it, of course it's going to be abrasive because they're weak-minded. They are weak spirits because they've been fed off of Santa Claus, they've been fed off of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, they've been fed off of El Coco, you know, all the different, you know what I'm saying? I don't know what they call them. I don't know what they call them in Mexico. In Guatemala, they call them El Coco, you know, the boogeyman, right? We fed off all of that. Then when you get them the truth, they can't handle it. Or they can, but it's strong. But it's not how it is strong, but it's just the truth. But the reason it comes across as so strong and so hard is because we've been fed off of lies. And so we're so weak that the average everyday in your face truth is either hard or it even could be offensive. And that's why, brother, the Most High bring us in here to rebuild us from the ground up. And the ground zero is your mind. That's why this whole experience is operating around being given information and then it's food, it's brain food, and then having to go through an experience just like a regular plate of food. What happens to that plate of food when we're eating? We just, you know, arroz y frijol, we just eating, but it ain't guacamole, all that. We ain't just eating that. Brother, that stuff is breaking down. The stomach emulsifies it so that it can go into so that it can be assimilated into our body, restructured. That's why I got to break down. Restructure into chemicals. That's what we talk about: proteins, carbohydrates, fats. You know what I mean? Amino acids and things like that. Right? You're dealing with any type of sugar. Things they talk about, glucose and all of those things. So what happened is that's what happened with the knowledge. Just like you eat physical food and it breaks down and it goes through the process of digestion, and then from digestion to assimilation. Assimilation is the process in which those things that you ate have broken down and now they're actually becoming integral parts of your body. They're integrating themselves into your tissues. They become tissues of the organ. They become tissues of the muscle. They become tissues or cells of the bone, right? That's what the Most High do with the word. But he take you through a process that makes you go beyond just eating it, meaning having read it. You actually have to assimilate it. It has to become through time a part of how you think. And that's what's going to save your life. That's what's going to help you grow. That's what's going to help you be able to help other people, is the fact that you no longer practicing this. You are the word. And that's what people don't get it. We're being brought in here to become the walking word.
You know, it's like I've been wanting to sit on a council, but it's like we're so busy. It's like I just get them on the fly.
You gotta speak up a little louder, brother.
You know, I've been, you know, like wanting a council and stuff, but we're so busy. Like I just get them on the fly, bro.
Right.
You know, I get them on the fly, and you know, I'm just.
But let's talk about that. See, you're gonna always go through waves to where you have time and you guys end up getting a bunch of scriptures. Then all of a sudden, some campaign comes up where you're raising money to get another school, or like right now, you guys are building a business. And like you said, you got to get your counsel on the fly. But guess what those moments are about? Guess what those periods are about? Getting you to use what you already got. The brothers think that the key sometimes be every circumstance. Like in private, we'll talk, but I'll show you, because much of the time for the time that I've known you, right? I know that you've been in class a lot, so you got enough to be able to get through until it's time for what? Until it's time for you guys to slow down, and then you can get more personalized attention. That brothers be sometimes they lose patience, but they don't understand. You can't be in class all the time and then think you're going to grow. Just like imagine going to school, right? All day, all night, but you never got time to actually study. You never have time to imagine martial arts or music. I always do that because you could sit down and learn all the theory, but you end up putting more hours in practice than you do in actual music. Why do you think the music teachers, they be giving you 40 piano courses, 45 minutes on Saturday? You know, you got a kid, you want them to learn the piano, want them to learn the violin, the flute, or whatever. You be paying however many hundreds of damn dollars, right? Back in the day, people be doing stuff online now. You'll pay so much money, and the classes will be 30 to 45 minutes. Maybe if it's an adult, it'll be an hour every Saturday. But what's taking place? Whatever he learned, or whatever that child learned, he's got the whole week to practice it. And the truth of the matter is, if he's going to go to the next level, he has to have taken them 6 days to master whatever it was he got. Because until he got that, he can't move on to the next level. That's how the Most High deal with us. And then you get to the point where this guy is, I used to read, me loving the old musician dudes. I read back in the day when this pianist named Oscar Peterson, right? He's my favorite pianist. But his father taught him. Then he outgrew his father. Then he went, his father got him with this teacher, this Edomite dude. He outgrew the teacher. This dude he went professional right out of high school. He was literally Duke Ellington. When I said to me, he played with those dudes. Duke Ellington played for Sarah Vaughan, played for Ella Fitzgerald, all of them cats. He's the one person, maybe beside Art Tatum, that I've listened to where you can't take the speed of things today and match what he did back in the old days. Technical, but he had more time studying, more time applying the lessons. And that's how the Most High deal with us. Why do you think guys that box, they go to the gym, and then after the gym, they be at home just going through it. Going through it. Why? Because they're trying to take those movements and make them natural. If you flinch, so that's what the Most High do for us. He give us the knowledge. We get so much of it, but then the time comes, just like physical food, we have to have an opportunity to what? To integrate it into our mind, to assimilate it. And so he takes us through these circumstances that they get longer and longer on. So we up and underway. I see brother looks new to me, so he might be new. Shalom, brother. How you doing? And sister in the back, hey sister. There was a sister last week that asked about, I don't know if it was Hector's wife or not, that asked about the topic of divorce. And so I don't want to go into it until I know she's there. So you guys, for now, what do you have any questions? You see, I'm looking on the screen, it says Kawakab Q&A. So what question, or do you guys have any questions? You got y'all, who else is there, man? I see you looking to your right. Who's there?
Wow.
Is that Troy? Who?
Troy.
Okay, because I know if he's looking off the screen, you're the only one that I go ahead and accept not being on screen for when the class is almost empty. So hit me with your questions, and then as we get underway, there is a question that a brother asked. I made a comment last week. Maybe I'm going to do that right now because it's not a whole lot to it. I was talking, I made it, let me say this too. Amayate, you can go ahead and let the brothers and sisters know, man. I'm not going to be continuing with the reading that we were doing with the book, Open Veins. And I would ask that you guys are doing. The only reason why I made that decision is because of, not a bad thing, it's a good thing, but because of war, you guys are streaming now. You guys are streaming on YouTube, and I'm not going to, I can't justify taking the hour and a half of class and streaming it on us doing a reading of a book that people could buy and that even you guys could read in your spare time. Because the time got to go to fishing. You know what I mean? It got to go to breaking that Bible down for people. So that out the way. The class is not full, so you can let the brothers and sisters know that. And you guys know we had a class room full of people that everybody been here for years and decades. And that was my attempt to try to stimulate us, to get us to try to take our studies, even our basic studies, to the next level. But now that we're dealing on the live stream, I'm going to make sure that 100% of the class goes to the Bible information. Okay. Number two, I don't know the brother's name, but the brother asked a question concerning a comment that I made about, because I have a broadcast that's going on a blog talk station that's in Brazilian, it's in Portuguese. And I made the comment of how the people in Cape Verde, people in Brazil, Angola, and Mozambique, a few other places, of course, Portugal, were getting taught by that method. And so he was interested. He asked the question about, because the brother's from Cape Verde, and that he, got to the States. And I'm answering the question because he's not from class. He's not from you guys, quote, classroom. He's from somewhere in another state. But he integrated, he just considered himself African-American, Afro-American, coming over here kind of being alienated or separated from his Cape Verdean culture. And he asked the question, why weren't the quote, why don't you find the Cape Verdean on the 12 tribes sign? And I wanted to throw it out there and answer the question. Number one, the people of Cape Verde, and he knows, because he mentioned it in his question, that the island of Cape Verde was like a stop-off point that the Portuguese were using, bringing Israel from the continent of Africa. And it was one of the stop-off points, just like the Spanish. I think the Portuguese used it also, the Canary Islands, those little group of islands just off of the western coast of Africa in the Atlantic Ocean. Though all of those people being sold and going to those places were from the kingdom of Judah. So the brother concerning the sign, he could be from any one of the tribes, Judah, Benjamin, or Levi, right? But it was the island specifically that the Portuguese, like the English, would take their slaves closer to the United States off the coast of South Carolina. There's a group of islands called the Sugar Islands. That's where they would do their slave breaking. You know what I mean? Every colonial power had their system where before they got the slaves to the mainland, they had to have some process to where they would be broken, because as they got to the mainland, the numbers of slaves really in various places, especially Haiti, outnumbered the colonists themselves. So the 12 tribe sign, for the most part, doesn't cover all of Israel in the world. If you look down that map or look on that sign, it covers what is the Western Hemisphere and the Western Hemisphere only. It doesn't mention anybody or any other tribe. It doesn't mention the Israelites, right, that are scattered. Remember, before the transatlantic slave trade and before La Conquista, the conquest of the Western Hemisphere, the Most High had already completely scattered Israel throughout the known world being Europe, Africa, and Asia, and all the related areas. And you can read that in the book of Acts, chapter 2, when we read about the event of Pentecost that took place. All right, I'm speaking to Camerland now, to the brother that's out there. So the brothers, the Most High gave them signs that relate to this, because our work is over here. So when you read, the Negro, I know you guys probably have it behind the computer, the 12 tribe sign. All of those tribes, huh? You got it, yeah, somewhere there. So all of those signs, all of those families are not the entirety of Israel. Those are just the families that can be what? Located in the Western Hemisphere. Simple and plain. But I just wanted to mention that to the brother, and that one of my first congregations that I taught way back in the early 90s. Yeah, it was early 90s, like 92. It was before 92. 92 is when we came back. It was like 91. There was a Cape Verdean community, Brockton, Massachusetts, one of the suburbs, one of the outskirts of Boston, Massachusetts. And they were all, it was maybe in that camp, it was like about 15, 16 brothers, a lot of them. Only one of them was Colombian, and the two of them might have been Judah. Everybody else, they spoke that Brazilian Portuguese or that Cape Verdean Portuguese, and they were from Cape Verde. But they were all from the kingdom of Judah, because that's who was being sold out of the continent of Africa, brother. So if you need a more specific answer, then brother, you can make it a point to write a war again and let him know what specificity of question that you have because the question, the way you asked it was basically why can't you find the Cape Verdean, the people of Cape Verde on the 12 tribe sign? But the people of Cape Verde would be literally amongst Benjamin or Judah, Benjamin, or Levi, just so that people don't know they come out the kingdom of Judah. Okay. All right, Troy, shoot, brother.
Oh, me.
But you got to come close enough to the mic so I can hear you out.
How about this?
That's cool.
Okay. I remember. Oh, actually, the sister's here.
Of the divorce?
Correct.
Okay, good. I was waiting on you, sister, but go on and ask your question so I can know, and then we'll get into it. Because once we go into that, we ain't moving back.
He's gonna get situated real quick.
Go ahead.
All right. Now, I remember. Let's see. Several years back, I was speaking with old Edomite pastor, and I say that with air quotes, pastor, on the topic of suicide. Not so much suicide, but giving one's life. You know, like say, for example, if you see a bus coming to hit a child, you know, you go to save the child, but you take that L. You're done.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you gave your life, and we were always taught you should never, ever, under any circumstance, give your life. So my question to him was, are you going to go to hell for that? And he kind of danced around it. He said, well, don't you be the one to jump in front of the bus. That was his final answer. So we were
basically let the little kid eat it, right?
Right.
Let the little kid get the GMC tattoo on the forehead.
There you go. And that's how I think we were all pretty much brought up that, you know, if you give your life like that, basically you're done. You have no opportunity to, you're going to be there with the pitchfork, the flame, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
So I wanted to know what does the Bible have, not so much what does the Bible have to say about it, but where do they get that ideology from?
Brother, you have to have come up in their mad maniacal religion, because I'm gonna show you something. See, all I can do is show you what the Bible says about it. Then if the Bible says something contrary to what they said, then the hell of where they got it from. You know what I mean? Maybe they got it from the Quran. But let's do this real quick, just to put it in perspective. Go to the book of John, chapter 15, the Gospel of John. I'll tell you the verse when I get there.
Hey, John.
John chapter 15. It's going to be John chapter 15 and verse 13. Listen, verse 12 and 13. You read that, Troy. John chapter 15, verse 12 and 13.
St. John chapter 15, verse 12. This is my commandment, that you love one another as I have loved you.
Go ahead.
Greater love hath no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends.
So that you can't show another greater. You push that kid out the way and you eat it, brother, you're a hero in the eyes of the Most High. He says no greater love you can do, but then to lay down your life for a friend. You be to lay down your life for a stranger, which ain't too many people would do. I'll be like, hey, somebody get out there. I got kids of my own that need me, so hold on, that's that's my water alarm. Hold up.
A little tight, eat that GMC, huh? That was basically
so listen up. So you see that. Now hold on. Now that was Christ speaking to the apostles on the dynamic and the spirit that should exist among us, right? And so all of those, whereas Christ gave his life for the nation, why are we reading this book? Because all those apostles gave their life, didn't even know it, so that a testimony could be written so that we here in the last days would have it. So that's why listen, you gotta remember, the pastors, they don't be knowing the truth. They don't know the Bible. That's the problem with Christianity. That's the problem with all of the various denominations of Christianity in the Bible. Nobody knows it. And then the ones who study it, who are the most knowledgeable of the religious, of the Christian sects? The Jehovah's Witnesses and the Seventh-day Adventists. They know more, they know what they have out of all the religions, out of all the Christian denominations, those that have the best, that can maneuver through the scriptures are those two denominations. The Jehovah's Witness being a little bit more sharper, and then the Seventh-day Adventists. But even they can get through that Bible and miraculously still ain't found the message. You can mention anything and they could go to the verse. But they can't tell you that the book, listen, they can't tell you, but I'm an Israelite that's holding the Bible. Be Israelite, y'all know the ones that be waking you up in the morning.
Oh, yeah.
Knocking on your door. You got to come to the door naked to establish the fact that every morning, if you come and wake me up, this is what you're going to find until you stop coming to my door. Send somebody a little bit more attractive, you know? And you got to, because they'll keep coming to your door. But what happens? They could be Israelites holding the book and can't show and can't see themselves. They can't step outside of religion and say, whoa, wait a minute, this is talking about me. But yet they can take you through that book. So in other words, all knowledges, all the doctrines of all religions, Bible-based and otherwise, are based on lies. And so for him to say that, he don't even understand the knowledge or the concept of them, let's say the position of the Most High. You know what I mean? Then that would take people like Judas Maccabees and all of these other people that died that were martyred. Why were they martyred? They were martyred for the word of Christ. But many of those people died to deliver the nation. Remember, Judas died in combat, fighting off oppression for us. You understand? How the hell? And when you go and you listen to, you read their prayers, they were like, they come against us with pride and they come against us with such and such. But we fight for your laws and for our little ones. They specify the laws and the kids specifically. So that pastor brother, like most of them, I want to go as far as to say all of them, but I won't say all of them. I'll say most of them don't know the Bible. Is that verse clear enough for you?
Sir.
Okay. The issue of divorce, is that sister ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay, sister. I want you to sit close to Dawiyad so I can see you. I'm getting ready, but I'm getting ready to use the restroom. She can sit to your right, Dawiyad, just right there behind you. I'll be right back. I'm better. I just don't want to take no chance of going to fall in front of the camera.
I just got to. You want one? Yeah.
Brother Kawakab was saying that the problems that I have with the Bible. I got my first clue when I asked that same pastor. Something in Zechariah. I asked him about.
That's Old Testament, bro.
You know that sound that the needle makes on the record? That kind of.
You're being paid, yeah. But that's only that's happened, but oh, Old Testament, no prophet, no none of the minor prophets.
Oh, they're not.
Oh, they're just mine.
Oh, okay.
They're in the Bible.
They're in the Bible.
Yeah. They're just some future prophets.
So I guess that strong guy, you know, the Samson, he. I guess since, you know, they don't talk at all about that, she wasn't really important. She's accomplishing great things, but she didn't. So what might you do if three-piece suit wearing pastor busts through here, Bible in hand, says, brothers, sisters, I know the truth. Come with me.
Who's that preacher? Hey, so let me say this too. Don't be jumping out in front of no kids on no buses. It'd be better off to look for them and make sure that they look both ways and even accompany them across the street. There's easier ways of getting in the kingdom of heaven than by way of Mack truck, you know?
You're just gonna push them in front of another vehicle.
Yeah. Okay, so listen, we're gonna talk about divorce. And I'm gonna give you everything that we can come across on the issue. So the first thing we'll deal with is the practice or the concept itself, which we will go to Deuteronomy chapter 24. Deuteronomy chapter 24 is where the Most High first introduces that to us in the form of a law. Not that divorce and the concept of men separating from women, women separating from men didn't exist before that. But this is where the Most High is teaching us how to handle that circumstance. All right. So Dawiyah, you want to do the reading for me, man?
No, that's
Appreciate it, brother. Let's go and read verses 1 through 4. Deuteronomy chapter 24, verses 1 through 4. We're going to find out. That's the beautiful thing about reading this, is going to show us how we've all been thrown off of kilt. When I say we, meaning all the men and all the women of our nation have been, this society have taken us and twisted us out of our intended form. So let's go ahead and read that.
chapter 24, verse 1 through 4. When a man hath taken a wife and married her, and it come to pass that she find no favor in his eyes, because he hath found some uncleanness in her, then let him write her a bill of divorce and give it in her hand and send her out of his house.
Now, first of all, what are we learning? What verse is that? Verse 1 and 2 or just verse 1?
Verse 1.
All right. You're going to find out that the practice or I'm at a loss of words because I'm going to say the action. I don't want to call it the privilege. It wasn't a privilege, but the right to divorce was not one of the women back in the day during the Bible. And so the women would have to be taught the reason for which they were created. Just like the men come to the school and we learn the reason for which we were created. In other words, we're here because we learned our purpose. We learned why the Most High created us. And so we're learning how to fulfill our purpose. The women come in and they find out, whoa, we have a purpose also. And it revolves around why you were created. And so within that purpose, a woman wasn't given the option of divorcing a husband like they are given today. So this is what would happen. And he's telling you, the man has to justify. It says he no longer finds favor in her, but it says because of what? It didn't say because time is passing by and she no longer had an hourglass figure. It doesn't say, well, after all these years, she still can't cook. It says there's some level of uncleanliness in it. And that means, and now when we go to the New Testament on it, you're going to see what it is. That means the divorce had to be justified, but then you'll see it can also be what Esau would call irreconcilable differences. And I'll show you that after we read this. Go ahead.
Verse 2. And when she is departed out of his house, she may go and be another man's wife.
So that means if this man have given her a bill of divorce, you notice it doesn't mention none of the kids. It doesn't mention half of the goods. It doesn't mention splitting and liquidating the assets. She's gone. The only thing she leaves with is that piece of paper that gives her the right to be someone else's wife. Go ahead.
And if the latter husband hate her,
that means the second one. I mean, it's like Mary J. Blige. All her songs is about how men did it wrong. But Mary J. Blige, who is the common denominator in all your relationships? You are. Maybe it's you, Mary. You know, maybe there's something. Maybe there is something about Mary.
There is something about.
You know, that nobody can get with it. So he says this second one, he didn't. You know, she didn't lost favor in his eyes. Go ahead.
And write her a bill of divorcement, and giveth it in her hand, and sendeth her out of his house.
Listen to that. Out of whose house?
His house.
Just like the first one. Go ahead.
Or if the latter husband died.
Let's say the second husband died. Go ahead.
Which took her to be his wife, her former husband, which sent her away, may not take her again.
That means she can't go back to the first husband. She can't have a change of heart. He's not allowed to say, you know, I've been considering things and let's start playing old 70s songs. Maybe we can try again. You know, he can't do that. Now it's going to tell you why. Go ahead.
After that, she is defiled. So
now let's go and look up defiled so that people don't think that this is an insult. Defiled is letting us know, give me the dictionary. It's letting us know there's a certain condition that this soul is under, that this woman is under now, or a condition that she's in now. I'm going to read it out of here. Somebody else come up with some a definition. You got it, my Warlock?
I got it.
Go ahead, read it, brother.
Foul, made dirty or foul, polluted, soiled, corrupted, violated, vitiated.
Damn, that's harder than what this book was gonna bring. Read them again.
Made dirty.
That's
foul.
Go ahead.
Or foul, polluted, soiled, corrupted, violated, vitiated.
Ooh, okay, let me see if I can find something softer. No. The truth. Now, the reason it says that is because now let me say this. Let's all learn and speak with the experience that we have. So I'm 56 years old, and we all know what happens the first time a young girl gives herself over to the man. And this is in modern times. She can't really go out and be the same person or the same spirit for the second person, because now remember, we're dealing with today. We're not dealing with back then. She's the one that got hurt. She's the one that got lied to. She's the one that got misused. And so just in that alone, she's gonna take that mistrust, that pain, that abuse into the second relationship, and he's not gonna even really have her. Because everything he does is out of all the things that he displays, some of those things are gonna remind her of who she just came from. Because generally speaking, men are alike. Not specifically, generally speaking. Generally speaking, women are alike. Not specifically, but generally speaking. You can expect a certain quality in women. Everybody knows they don't let you forget nothing 6 years ago, but you said this, maybe they'll hold it for the right moment. All women can say something about men that's characteristic of us. They'll say like he was too possessive. Yes, we are. The only men that are not possessive are the ones that society have worked on and made them feel bad about being mad. Because we are possessive. Ain't nobody else can have what's mine. And yes, you are mine. That's why I don't get your last name when we get married. You get mine, and the kids get mine. And that was my daddy's. But why am I going through all that? Because that's what's in men, because that's what the Most High put in us. So there are generalities about men that apply to all of us. And so we're going to be displaying the same thing, the same. Now we won't, you have an abusive person that displays these qualities, then you have a person that's not. But they have the same qualities because they're men. They're just not right. They're not fair. You understand? They might be hateful, they might be hurtful, but they're still men, and they're still going to display the qualities, quote, that a good man will display, because that's what men, that's what we are. So me being possessive is not going to lead me to beat no woman. But another guy being possessive is going to make him beat and jealous. But the other guy's possessive and jealous, and he's going to turn around and beat the woman up because some other guy spoke to her. Who was that? He just spoke to me. So it depends on how we are, because now you take that possessiveness and jealousy, and then you couple it with insecurity, you got a different product. Those chemicals make a different product. You take possessiveness and jealousy and couple it with confidence, you got a totally different chemical there. One of them is an explosive and the other one is a medicine. So this is what it was. So when the Most High said this woman that went through the she's defiled, that means that experience of going through two men have rendered her not able to be what she was meant to be for a man. That's what that means. It doesn't mean she's physically can take all the showers she wants. She just can't get this dirt off of her. And so in the reality of how things are today, look at what the women are doing. The women, they make shows. The women talk about the different people. Oh yeah, John had a thick penis. Yeah, I'm using that just because this is going out into the world, so I got to be a little bit more cleaner. But Larry's was long and narrow. No, that right, she's corrupted. You know, Richard was a stud, right? But this dude is an anaconda. That experience alone is sending her, let's say, into her potential third relationship, incapable of what? Of adapting to this man. Now, that's just me talking about the most obvious things, the most obvious changes. But what about the changes? What about the alterations that take place in her spirit, in her personality? And this people don't understand. People don't understand where the bitter woman comes from. But this is where the bitter woman comes from. They don't understand the spiritual dynamic of what happens when a woman goes from man to man. You have the residue. Why people call them memories, bad experiences? That's the residue of that man's spirit. That's what it is. So let's go ahead and continue that. Was that verse 4?
That was half of 4.
Read verse 4 again.
Verse 4. Deuteronomy 24, verse 4. Her former husband, which sent her away, may not take her again to be his wife. After that, she is defiled.
Now read the definitions of defiled again, Mawala.
Defiled, made dirty or foul, polluted, soiled, corrupted, violated.
Now stop right there. We're going to go with corrupted. Because that's the most applicable definition concerning the woman, because she's not going to be eternally dirty. She's not going to be eternally soiled. It's not talking about the outward. It's talking about the inward. So now let's go look up corrupted. What is it to corrupt? Look up not the past tense, but just the term corrupt. It's going to give you a verb, and it's going to give you probably a noun. No, it's going to give you a verb and an adjective.
I got it right here.
Go ahead.
Number 1 reads, to change from a sound to a putrid or putrid state. To separate.
Read it again. Read it again.
To change from a sound to a putrid.
Putrid. See, that's why I want it corrupted. A sound statement is what. Let's use that. In other words, this thing, whatever it is, in this case, we're talking about the woman and her experience. It has taken her and made her what? No longer sound. Like we say, of a sound mind and body. She ain't stable. It says putrid, meaning what? She's rotten. The term putrid, like putrefaction, that means rotten. But we don't call it rotten in everyday terms. What do we say? We say she's bitter. Because that's what rot is, and how rot manifests itself in something that's palatable. This rot, man. What do? No, it's not rotten. It's fermented. It's rotten, woman. You know. The point is, that's what he's telling you. That means what? Her mind, the experience has left her unsound. And the more you go through now, speaking biblically, and then outside the Bible, ain't nobody stopping at 2. Today they just getting started. You got people that got they showed I've seen articles, pictures with women with thousands of condoms and those Polaroids on the wall of all the men they've been with. That woman is legion. That woman probably could levitate. She probably could fly. She got so many demons on her. So that's what it does. And remember, we're reading about what happens in the proper setting, in the biblical setting. So we can only imagine to what degree and how far and deeply corrupted a person that's going beyond that is. And that's what Esau's point is with us. That's why the scriptures say the righteous is more excellent than his neighbor, but the way of the wicked seduceth them. So we've been seduced into this thing called dating, where by the time you get married, you done been with 6 or 7 dudes. By the time the guy get married, he done been with 20 women. And they think that doesn't have an effect on men. Get corrupted too. That's why it becomes easy to just walk away from your own kids. That's why it becomes easy to not assume responsibility and feel like, and no, this is mine. She's mine now. That's what that does to men. It corrupts you too. People don't know that. So that's that one, right? Let's move on to the next one concerning the practice or how it was allowed. So now we're going to go to the Apocrypha. We're going to read Ecclesiastes chapter 25.
Ecclesiastes chapter 25, right?
Verses 24 through 26. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Ecclesiastes chapter 25 and verse 24 reads, of the woman came the beginning of sin, and through her we all die.
Go ahead.
Give the water no passage, neither a wicked woman liberty to gad abroad.
Now, why is it going here? Because it's telling you what is it that eventually corrupts a woman. A gadder abroad is a person, in this case, a woman that's always out and about. Literally, always got to be out in the street, always out of the house. So just like if you spilled a cup of water and you got things on the table, you're gonna hurry up what and do what it takes to not let that water pass. It's when it says give the water no passage. That means you have to what? That's why they build dams. They build different things to keep for flood prevention for different cities, coastal cities that are below sea level and stuff like that. That's what it's talking about. So just like you wouldn't want the waters to pass and destroy anything, neither would you allow a wicked woman the liberty to go out and be all hanging out. Read on down.
If she go not as thou wouldest,
If she did not do how you want her to do it, go ahead. In other words, if she did not obey you, go ahead.
cut her off from thy flesh, and give her a bill of divorce, and let her go.
So this one right here was a little bit more, I'm gonna say it like this. It wasn't as specific in the sense of Deuteronomy when it says if he find no favor in her because of some uncleanliness. Now that's vague, but it's still telling you what? That it has to be attributed to some uncleanliness. This one here is saying she just won't obey you. If she go not as thou would have her, give her a bill in thy hand, cut her off from her flesh. Now, let's go and read some more. We're going to do this in other words, so this is the verse that literally justifies what people will call, see, today when they say irreconcilable differences, they're saying the man wants one thing out this woman and the woman wants something else. Or the man wants one thing out the woman and the woman wants something else out the man. Because they give both parties the equal right to determine the option of divorcing. And so they'll say irreconcilable differences. But the truth of irreconcilable differences in the eyes of the Most High is either the woman would obey or she wouldn't. Because that's what her job, it wasn't her job. She was obligated and responsible for obeying the man because that's what she was created to do. She was created to be an extension of him and to help him realize the things that he needed to get done. Just like we were created to be an extension of the Most High and be used as instruments to do his will on this earth, not our own. That's why we're in slavery. That's why we're in the ghettos and the slums and the barrios and all the poor areas, because we wouldn't do what? We wouldn't fulfill our purpose. We wouldn't obey. So the Most High, he didn't even divorce us. He whooped our ass and put us out of his house being on earth, Jerusalem. But he'll tell you in chapter the 50s of what? Of Ezekiel, it's Isaiah, he says, where's my bill of divorce that I gave your mother? Our mother being the nation of Israel. I ain't divorced y'all, I just whooped your ass and put you out till you get right. So here, he's telling you what? That this is what people today would call irreconcilable difference, but the truth of the matter is, it's because the woman won't follow him. And that's what she was created to do. The Christians, just like they messed up the men and turned them into feminine, sorry ass and people that can't stand up, they messed up the women thinking that a woman is married to Jesus. Jesus ain't got no wife. Jesus does. It's the nation. The scriptures tell you he is the groom and we collectively are the bride. And then he goes as far as to tell you the flock of the pastor who are the bride collectively are men. Yes, Dawiyah.
No, those exact words were like, somebody on YouTube talking about the problem with the black race and
the what?
The problem with the black race, right?
Okay.
Because they're in ignorance, they think we're just black people, right? They were saying that the reason why the black family doesn't work is because the woman thinks she's married to Jesus.
But listen, it's one of the ways in which the curses on us manifested itself. And that one was inserted in through religion. You know, Jesus ain't got to deal with your cooking woman. Jesus ain't got to deal with your mouth. You know what I'm saying? Jesus ain't have to deal with your clamorous ways and your wanton eyes and your whorish ways. These are the things that Esau have taken and turned, just like he done got men running. I saw a picture of some football player that is a defensive end for, I've showed you the photo. I don't know if I passed it on to you. But, huh?
Flower get up.
Yeah, man.
I thought it was a dress, man, but it looked
like it was a dress. It was a dress. But it looked like, imagine the Terminator with a damn dress on. I'm talking about in the height of being cut up. Because this brother was yoked. And he's walking down the street with a damn flower pastel dress on. Darker, you know, the color of Christ, literally. With a purse, some kind of designer purse in his hands. That's what Esau did to us And then he turned the women into a different type of monster. So here we are dealing with this issue. So let's go get some information concerning Christ, explaining it to us more. The concept, huh? Yes?
DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, you saw it, right?
Yeah, it's
Yeah, where's Amayetaza when you need him? You know, so you can put that on the screen. And is that who it is? DeAndre Hopkins, that was his name?
yeah.
That's the
You see it, right?
Houston, Texas.
No, that's another one. This one played for somebody else. Damn,
Oh, God, another one.
hold on, y'all. Y'all be patient with me. Yeah, is that him? Yeah, damn, he's wearing a dress. DeAndre Hopkins is?
He's wearing something very flowery and very.
No, I'm talking about a dress. I mean, you watch Miami Vice, and the niggas on Miami Vice used to wear shirts with flowers all over this shit because they down in Miami. Nothing against Miami. I'm just saying back in the 80s, that was like the whole Sonny and whatever his name was, them dudes back in the day, right? 80s TV. The captain had an oatmeal face, old dude, Edward James almost. The Iscarite dude actor. I used to call, everybody should get his name wrong, call him Edward James Almost, but his name was Almost. Right. He was the guy that had the oatmeal face. And then you had the brother that was always GQ'd out, and Sonny and Crockett. So Sonny was the white one that was always in pastel soft colors, right? While the other dude was always in almost metallic silk suits, looking like, you know, cheap but expensive at the same time. But when we're talking, I gotta get this one out. Hold on, y'all bear with me. I'm going into it.
That football player probably say, my mama was a strong black woman.
Yeah.
Now you look like one.
And now you are too. Hold on.
That'd be a good name. They probably did name him.
Maybe I didn't. I thought I sent it to y'all, man. Really? It probably, but you know how they've been deleting stuff too, man. Y'all, okay, well, forget it, because I don't want to use the time. I don't want to use the time in silence. Let me see. I must try.
Oh, yes.
All right, y'all. I gotta let it go, but it wasn't. It was somebody else. It was a defensive end. He's 6'2", 255 pounds. I remember that.
6'2", 250 pounds.
Yeah, he plays defensive end. I don't know if it said the Dolphins. I don't know if it said I can't remember, man. But it was a travesty, brother. It was heinous to look at. Yeah, but then again, you got all of these cats that like Dwayne Wade, right, and his son, or whatever that little monster has been that they're turning him into. All right, so let's go to Matthew chapter 5. We're going to go to Matthew chapter 5 and verses 31 and 32.
55, right?
Yeah, Matthew chapter 5, verse 31 and 32.
Matthew chapter 5, verse 31, 32. Matthew chapter 5, verse 31. It hath been said, whosoever shall put away his wife, let him give her a writing of divorcement.
Now, this is Christ speaking in the New Testament, because why? He's going to put things in a perspective so it can be clear to us. So he's referring to what we just read in Deuteronomy chapter 24 and Ecclesiasticus chapter 25 in the Apocrypha. Go ahead.
But I say unto you that whosoever shall put away his wife, saving for the cause of fornication, causes her to commit adultery.
Stop right there. We got some epiphanic revelations right here, because there's that religious word fornication that, according to the church, according to the Christian religion doctrine, fornication is what? I want the new people to tell me that. The sister that have the question. According to the religion that we've been familiar with, what were you taught that fornication was, sister? Say that again. I didn't hear what you said. Theft?
No.
SEX.
Okay, what about you, brother? The new brother that I don't know just yet. What were you taught that's sex is? I mean, that's not sex, it's fun, right? No, that fornication is.
I don't even know what fornication.
Well, then you better off. You better off. What they teach you, Yahweh, what did you learn? Or not, Amayati, what did you learn that fornication was? Not that you strike me as anybody that went to church, but
I did, bro. I have
Jesus.
plenty of them.
so what was fornication according to the religion?
If I was married and I had sex with another woman outside of my marriage.
Okay, so yes, Mawala.
Also, I was gonna say, I was told that fornication, like if you didn't marry a woman.
You had to speak up,
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
What I was saying was, when you didn't marry that woman and she was your girlfriend, they said that it was fornication.
Okay, they call that premarital sex.
Yeah.
That's why I was trying to get, somebody got to scream it out and help us out in YouTube world. What happened is the religious system teaches the doctrine that sex before marriage is fornication. But what do we find out here? This man is married to the woman. Read that verse again. Why am I showing it? So that you can see that's not fornication. It's something else, but it ain't fornication. Go ahead.
But I say unto you that whosoever shall put away his wife, saving for the cause of fornication.
Stop. That means, according to the religion, whosoever shall put away his wife, except for the fact that she had premarital sex. See how that don't make sense? Because she's married.
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense.
No.
Go ahead. Read it from the top again.
Matthew chapter 5, verse 32. But I say unto you that whosoever shall put away his wife, saving for the cause of fornication, causes her to commit adultery.
So just generally speaking, fornication is any action contrary to the law. And we're going to read this. This is, like I said, the topic's not a mild topic, sister, because the nation of Israel, we've been declared collectively fornicators and adulterers against the Most High. Not because of the sex we was having, but because of the philosophies of the other nations that we were following, because of the doctrines that we were deviating to. So on an individualistic level, a person can be a fornicator and the fornication, the nature of the fornication, not be sex related. So for instance, you can be a fornicator and it be because you're violating the dietary law. You can be a fornicator and it's because you're violating the ceremonial laws. Instead of doing the Passover and honoring the Feast of Tabernacles, you're out there doing Christmas. That's fornication. People don't know that. And then the most extreme cases biblically of fornication is idolatry. Now that is shalom, brother. And that's what Christ is talking about. You can't put whoever put away his wife, save for violating the laws, and it's the violation of the law that can't be tolerated. He said, then he calls it her to what? So Christ is putting back in the day what brothers used to put women away for, disobedience. Yeah, you really can't do anything with a woman that won't follow you. But it still did not merit divorce. And I'm going to show you that in another scripture. But Christ explains in another verse why he allowed it. Why not he, but why the Most High put it in the law, had Moses give to us, and why the Most High would honor and permit it. So let me say this. You guys write this down, okay? You're going to write down Ezekiel chapter 16, verses 1 through 43. Ezekiel chapter 16, verses 1 through 43, and Ezekiel chapter 23. Let y'all write it down. Ezekiel chapter 16, verses 1 through 43, and Ezekiel chapter 23, verses 1 through 44. Now, why am I having you write those down? So that we can go over the topic of fornication, because fornication is related to divorce. Now, how do we know that? Because we just read it in Matthew chapter 5. The only justifiable cause of putting a woman away or divorcing a woman is because she is in violation. She is fornicating. Now, the nature of fornication could be one of many things. Every time you come home, you got pig's feet on your plate. Brother, I don't give, people don't believe it. That's grounds according to the law of divorce. Because the Most High said we will not make our soul abominable with any abominable thing. And that's in Leviticus. Y'all know that. And it specifically talks about the meats. Leviticus chapter 20, verses 24 through 26. I have separated you. You shall not eat any unclean meats. You shall not make your soul abominable by these foods. Then he talks about all of the other laws, the evil things that the other nations were doing, for which cause the Most High used us to get them out the land. So it can be, she could be just not adhering to the dietary law. It could be that you keep walking in and finding her listening to damn Franklin Graham's prayer out. And in the name of Jesus, we bind you, and all that type of stuff, right? No, that's people say Christianity, but that's idolatry. Those are grounds for dismissal from the house in the eyes of the Most High. These are the justifiable ones that the Most High would allow a man to what? Because truthfully, what do we read in the law? We know that if a person was caught doing any type of idolatry or trying to get you to go to another doctrine, we were told what? This is Deuteronomy chapter 15. We were told that our hand will be the first to kill him. If your mother, if your sister, if your brother came and tried to get you to follow another philosophy, the Most High said, thou shalt kill him. Your hand shall be the first upon him. It says, and then all the rest of the congregation shall stone him that he died. You don't understand how serious this is. And for what reason now it's getting clear why Christ had to die for us. And so those, if in other words, if a woman or a man could be killed for committing a crime of violating the law, the punishment for which was death, then how much more justifiable was it to just divorce the woman? You understand? So that's what he's letting us know, but we're going to go ahead. I just want to be clear. Write this other one down. I don't know if you guys wrote it down, if I said it. Ezekiel chapter 23, verses 1 through 44. That's the second one. And just to, let me see. Amayatas, are you there?
Yeah.
Real quick, go to Ezekiel chapter 16. Because I want to quantify this. I want this to be clear, because this is the way, these are the two chapters wherewith fornication can be most clearly defined and understood. Let me get there. I'm going to chapter 16 first. let me see, is it chapter 16? Yes, chapter 16. And we're not going to read the whole thing. I'm going to just start off at verse. I want you to start off at verse 11. Now, what are we going to do? We're going to read just some excerpts of this chapter. This is a section that we got to read the majority of the chapter to really get. But to make the point that we're reading right now in Matthew chapter 5, it's really necessary that we read it and that it go out into the whole, because you guys got this streaming being also things saved up on your site. So people should have this as brief as it is. Start off at verse 11, and you're going to read all the way down. Let's see. Verse 22, all right? And what we're getting ready to read now is what fornication is and the details of how we are guilty of it as a nation. So go ahead. Ezekiel chapter 16, verses 11 through 22.
I decked thee also with ornaments, and I put bracelets upon thy hands and a chain on thy neck.
This is the Most High. When you read from verse 1, which we're not going to do now, the Most High is talking about how he chose us from the beginning, from the time of Abraham, cultivated us into a great nation, and then began to just decorate us with his beauty. So when he's talking about the chain, he's talking about our material wealth. The Most High is about being prosperous, but not in evil. So he said, I put a gold chain on your neck. That's when you wonder why all the blacks and Hispanics, why we like bling. Because we getting ready to read it. We would bling the hell out in the old days. Go ahead.
And I put a jewel on thy forehead and earrings in thine ears and a beautiful crown upon thine head. Thus was thou decked with gold and silver.
Listen, that's how we used to talk back in the 70s. When the brother was like really nicely done, he was decked out. Man, I went to this concert, man, we was decked out. Back when we used to go to the Parliament concerts and the Commodores and Earth, Wind and Fire, we'd be having on the big old bell-bottom three-piece suits, man. Brothers, big-ass froze, was like, man, we went there, and check back. Oh, we showed the pictures, man, yo, them niggas were decked out. And I mean what? That you was fly today. We use different terms now. But the Lord said, I decked you out. Meaning I had you. It means decorated. Go ahead.
And thy raiment was of fine linen and silk and broidered work. Thou didst eat fine flour and honey and oil, and thou wast exceeding beautiful, and thou didst prosper into a kingdom. We
became a prosperous, rich kingdom. Go ahead.
And thy renown went forth among the heathen for thy beauty.
The renown means your fame went to all the nations. We were recognized pretty much for the same thing that we are today. How beautiful. Everybody talk about the black man and black woman, the Latino man, Latino. Everybody, y'all know that. That's where all the flavors at. They make movies about us and they put white boys in their place, being the salsa champion. Right? Let's be real. You be watching capoeira movies, and this is the Portuguese dude. And the capoeira it's not a Brazilian art form, it's an Angolan art form that the Israelites in Angola brought it to Brazil, and it was outlawed all the way up until 1988. People don't know that, where it was finally made into a Brazilian patrimony. In other words, this is a part of the Brazilian culture. No, it ain't. It's part of the people that you brought there. It's our culture. So this is what they do. So we were known for everything beautiful. The music, everywhere you go, you know what? We do the music and then they end up putting their face on it. Why you watch which reggaeton? I can't stand the music, but you can't find a true sister, a Latino sister in the reggaeton videos. They don't use the sisters. They use all of these Spanish Edomite looking types. That ain't their music. That's the Latin Caribbean form of rap. What are you talking about? That ain't their music any more than the rap is today. They're trying to put Eminem and all of these cats. Them ain't the rappers. Those are the thieves. But this is what we were known for back in the old days, our beauty and our culture. Go ahead.
For it was perfect through my comeliness, which I had put.
Read it again from the top of 14.
And thy renown went forth among the heathen for thy beauty. For it was perfect through my comeliness, which I had put upon thee, saith the Lord power.
Go ahead.
Just turning my page.
Verse 15.
Verse 15. But thou didst trust in thine own beauty, and placed the harlot because of thy renown.
Yeah, you
And
now,
porous-
you got, listen, this is him saying it, but you know what? You thought it was your beauty. Then you begin to play the harlot. Now, I ain't talking about the nation going out and having sex. You're going to see what, in other words, to the Most High collectively, what we did was like a whore. We began to take that beauty, and because the other nations found it, we began to what? Be interested in the other nations' cultures and their philosophies and their gods. Read it again from the top, verse 15.
But thou didst trust in thine own beauty, and placed the harlot because of thy renown, and pourest out thy fornications on everyone that passed by. His it was.
So that means all the nations, everybody that's fell in love with you, you went on and gave him what I gave you. So now he's going to tell you, how did we do that? How did we pour out our fornication? When we fornicated against the law, what are the Most High? What were the actions that we actually performed? Go ahead.
Wow. Verse 16. And of thy garments thou didst take, and deckest thy high places with diverse colors, and placed the harlot thereupon. The like things shall not come, neither shall it be so.
Now, what is he saying? You're going to find out as we read down. He said, it's all them clothes that I gave you, those beautiful decorated garments. He said, you played the harlot with them. What does he mean? We took those and put them on statues. Just like you see the Catholic Church, they be having the las procesiones. They carry the things on the shoulder, and then the statue be like magnificently decorated, and all the poor ass bastards be down there on the shoulders, you know, dressed like the Ku Klux Klan in purple, carrying something more, a piece of wood that got more money on its back than what they have collectively in the whole procession at home. So he's going to tell you, we began to take statues and decorate them with the clothes that he gave us, with the jewels that he gave us. Go ahead.
Verse 17. Thou hast also taken thy fair jewels of my gold and of my silver, which I had given thee, and madest to thyself images of men, and didst commit whoredom with them.
See, you begin to make what? Images. All the, like the Catholic Church have all those saints and this and that, you know what I mean? He said, you took all that gold and you begin to form images of men with it. I made that to decorate you. You would make the gold look good. You turned around, took the gold and made it into images. And then when it says play the harp, then you worship the thing that you made. Go ahead.
Verse 18. And tookest thy braided garments, and coverest them, and thou hast set mine oil and my incense before them.
So listen, he said you took them garments, you took them jewels, you made images, and then you covered them up with those. In other words, you dressed the garment, you dressed the images up, decked them out with garments and gold. Then you begin to what? You see, you begin to pour out your oil. In other words, you begin to pour, and they do that today.
Yep.
Dia de los Muertos, Day of the Dead, and all, they go out to the the graveyards, the cemeteries, and they put food offerings, drink bottles of whiskey and stuff at the tombs. They got this little dude, you remember Mashimon Amayet, is that right?
Yeah, I was thinking about him.
Yeah, Mashimon is like a cowboy. Literally, the Indians got the image, made an image of a cowboy, called him Mashimon. What happens, he started off as one of the patrons of the Catholic Church, and then the Indians began to worship him. So the Catholic Church excommunicated that little saint, and they took him and put him up in a temple in Itzapa. In this place called Itzapa, San Juan Itzapa.
That's like Valverde, you know what Valverde is?
Yeah. You go into this temple, brother. I got pictures of it because I went one time, brother. The place is filthy because it's got they take candles, every square inch of it. The people take their candles and burn their candles and leave all their food and leave all their. If I had found some of the, they had brought some room, y'all would have took me about it. Shit, they be taking their cheap ass Manalo, this stuff that's made out of volcanic rock. They got whiskey out here that's made from volcanic rock. It's called Venado. I don't know why they associate that with the deer, but they be taking those drinks and all the food to that temple. So I'm like, damn, and you got the cowboy sitting up there with the handlebar mustache and the cowboy hat. I'm like, damn, you know, but that's what we still do. And that's why the Most High tore us up. So then what are we reading once again? We're reading what fornication is, but it just happens to be the most severest form of fornication. You understand when I say the most severest form, because of look at what we did. It's talking about idolatry, but it means we violated the law. But how? Through idolatry. And we read on down, we're going to read the last verses that I mentioned are going to include child sacrifice. This is so the Most High, when Christ came, he said, any man that putteth away his wife, saving, meaning accepting for the cause of fornication. That's why he's saying really it was meant to be something severe. And that's why Deuteronomy said of some uncleanliness. Now, how do we know that that's idolatry? Who remembers when we read about Canaan, when Israel began under Joshua to go dispossess the land of Canaan, there was a man by the name of Achan or Akkad who had taken a Babylonian item. Most High told us to don't take none of the gold, none of this, just burn everything. But Joshua went out to a specific battle. 27 or 37 men got killed. And the Lord had told Joshua earlier that no man would stand before thee. So Joshua was like, look, what happened? We went out and got polished today, whooped our asses. And the Lord said, I have found uncleanliness among you. And it turns out that what? So when he say uncleanliness in Deuteronomy, it's talking about something in violation of the law. You can't just put your woman away because she's running her mouth. But let me say this. Well, that's a whole nother topic. People be wondering why you be seeing women with one tooth over here missing and stuff like that. Anyway, we'll deal with that later. The point is, this is how serious the Most High was about a man and a woman staying together. So, okay, you're still in Ezekiel. You're at what? What verse are you?
19.
Go ahead and read that.
Verse 19. My meat also, which I gave thee, fine flour and oil and honey, wherewith I fed thee, thou hast even set it before them for a sweet savor. And thus it was, saith the Lord power.
So he's telling you, remember, he mentioned in verse 15, we fornicated. Now he's going through what? All the details of what that fornication was. And it turns out it was idolatry. We were taking his oil, we were taking the food, the honey, and we were laying everything before these images that we had taken the gold and made, and then took the clothes and covered the images of gold with that. So it's talking about rituals in which we were what? Committing idolatry. Go ahead.
Verse 20. Moreover, thou hast taken thy sons and thy daughters, whom thou hast borne unto me, and these hast thou sacrificed unto them to be devoured. Is this of thy whoredoms a small matter?
Yes, wait a minute. You done took your sons and your daughters that you born to me, and you sacrificed them to those idols that you made. Is that a small thing? What do you think that? And today, that's the abortion today. That's the my body, my choice. The Most High gonna be like, my flame's your choice. People don't know they gotta, if these brothers and sisters don't come back to the Most High, they have the most horrible eternal judgment coming. You know how many people, how many children have been, guess what they call a baby that's born and they kill it a couple of days or that day later? They call it late-term abortion. It ain't no late-term. Late-term abortion is like the third trimester, you're going to kill a baby. But they're having babies being born, then killing them. Then on top of that, they flavoring your food up. Most of the people is addicted to Pepsi and Coke because they got fetal. They use that for flavoring. Y'all don't know that? You can find that information out on the internet. That's easy. They use fetal material from aborted babies to flavor food. Talking about, I want my baby back ribs. Okay, I'm gonna to continue to read.
Verse 20 again. Moreover, thou hast taken thy sons and thy daughters, whom thou hast borne unto me, and these hast thou sacrificed unto them to be devoured. Is this of thy whoredoms a small matter, that thou hast slain my children, and delivered them to cause them to pass through the fire for them?
So you listen, now burning them alive, cause them to pass through the fire for them, meaning for the idols that you made and decorated with the garments that I gave you. All of this is fornication. But it's the nature of the fornication is idolatry. But now he could have easily had another chapter talking about how we done took all the abominable things and made buffet gourmet meals out of it. All the fish in the ocean, and the niggas is eating shrimps, crab, and lobsters. They're down here, they call it ceviche. You know the ceviche, the little rolling trucks and stuff, they make ceviche. Come and get your ocean manure. Right? Huh? It's for real. Right? I'll keep you shot. Nice. Lift it up on that side. Y'all, I'm gonna take a brief minute. I gotta put my foot in this cold and hot water. So you're gonna see me shifting. I'll be right back, all right? I'm still doing the therapy thing. I'll be right back. And then you take that.
First time I heard about Governor Ralph Ball. He's talking about after the baby is born, they're not comfortable, and make sure it's fed properly. It's fed properly. And if the mother decides she don't want it,
We just want to. That's all we have to do. It works. It's beginning, middle. Beginning, middle, end. It's perfect. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
concerning all the people, not only at peace, not so much the he's around, but the people, the staff. You don't know who they're around. And this thing is practically everywhere. And then obviously virus. This isn't going to stay.
Yeah, you got me.
That's why it gets on my nerves.
Breathing your own body.
That's crazy. That's fast.
Yeah.
It's one is something one.
That sounds like a grand lesson. But people need smarter about being healthy. We need to find a way to keep the hospitals packed, keep our pockets fat. That that's a new industry.
It's making money.
And then notice all
Y'all, excuse me, man. I'm trying to get this foot back together. This leg of mine is all messed up. Hold up. Okay, I'm gonna get this out. What verse were you reading?
We're on verse 21.
Read verse 20 again. Read it from verse 20.
Moreover, thou hast taken thy sons and thy daughters, whom thou hast borne unto me, and these hast thou sacrificed unto them to be devoured. Is this of the...
I'm sorry. Be careful, boy. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Is this of thy whoredoms a small matter, that thou hast slain my children and delivered them to cause them to pass through the fire for them?
Last one is verse 22.
Yeah. And in all thine abominations and thy whoredoms, thou hast not remembered the days of thy youth, when thou was naked and bare, and was polluted in thy blood.
In other words, you were unclean and I cleaned you up. You done forgot all about those days. But remember, taking it from verse 15, all he just did was describe in detail what he summed up as what? Our fornication. So here we are dealing with what? This is what fornication is. Now, once again, for the sake of clarity, go back to Matthew. Dawiyat was reading, but now you are. Go back to Matthew, and you're going to read once again chapter 5, verses 24 through 26.
Matthew chapter 5, verse 24. Leave there thy gift before the altar,
Matthew
and go thy way.
Matthew.
Oh,
yeah.
25, sorry.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm saying 25. Matthew chapter 5.
My goodness.
My mind.
That's what I was.
Yeah. Matthew chapter 5, verses 31 through 32.
Yeah. Okay. Matthew chapter 5, verse 31. It have been said, whosoever shall put away his wife, let him give her a writing of divorcement. But I say unto you, that whosoever shall put away his wife, saving for the cause of fornication, causeth her to commit adultery.
So listen to this. Hold up. So now he's crystal clear saying, if you put your wife away for anything that is not a violation of the law, you create a dynamic where you make her violate the law. Why does he say that? In other words, you turn her into an adulteress, causes her to commit adultery, because the woman is going to go out and get with a man because that's what she was made to do. So she's with you. You're not willing to do what it takes to make it work out, either parties. And so what? He says you're causing her to commit adultery. Why? Once again, you didn't put her out. She's going to get with another man. And because you're not dead, when you read on, not here, but in other verses, it lets you know the woman is loosed from her husband if he dies. So if he's not dead, he said, you're causing her to be an adulteress, which is fornication. which is violation of the law. But now because of you, read on down.
Verse 32 again. But I say to you that whosoever shall put away his wife, saving for the cause of fornication, causeth her to commit adultery. And whosoever shall marry her that is divorced, committeth adultery.
Yeah, so here we got the whole world in adulteries. You know what I mean? In other words, it's showing you that if the separating of them was not justified, then not only is she an adulteress, she's going to be made to become adulteress. Whoever gets with her is an adulterer. Why? Because the Most High is still recognizing her as belonging to that first man. So why was this allowed in the first place? And that's where we go to, I think it's Mark. Let's go to Mark chapter 10. Mark chapter 10. The key is in verse 11 and 12, but well, no, we're going to read verses 1 through 12. We're going to read Mark chapter 10, verses 1 through 12.
And he arose from thence, and cometh into the coasts of Judea by the farther side of Jordan. And the people resort unto him again, and as he was wont, he taught them again. And the Pharisees came to him and asked him, Is it lawful for a man to put away his wife, tempting him?
No, but they were testing Christ. The Pharisees were one of the various sects of various groups of the priesthood, and those that were supposedly the most skillful in the interpretation of the law. So this is a question that they already had the answer to, but they're asking him this question. Just as easy as it was for me to go to Deuteronomy chapter 24, they knew how to get to that section of the law back then, but they want to see what Christ is going to say. Go ahead.
Verse 3. And he answered and said unto them, What did Moses command you?
Yeah, and what did Moses say? Now, what? We just read what Moses said, right? Go ahead.
And they said, Moses suffered to write a bill of divorcement and to put her away.
Suffered means allowed. Moses allowed for a man to write a woman a bill of divorce and to put her away. Go ahead.
Verse 5. And Yahushua answered and said unto them, For the hardness of your heart, he wrote you this precept.
Listen. He said now he said Moses, but we all know through the Old Testament, Moses didn't just go up into the mountain and just start writing things. He was receiving it from the Most High. So when Christ says, for the hardness of your heart, he did allow these things. He's saying the Most High gave these to Moses for you. And when it says for the hardness of your heart, it's talking about our minds, how unwilling we are to forgive one another, how hateful we are. And so what would happen if that excuse me, y'all, if that clause wasn't put there? You'd have far more domestic abuse circumstances. You'd have far more literally killing. Let me say this. Look at the Arabs. Look how they treat women. You be seeing the Arabs, they treat camels and lions and jackals better than hyenas, better than they do their own daughters. And that's what you get when you don't have a law. That's what you get when you don't have provisions of compassion in your life, in your law. And so Christ was explaining, it was not meant to be like that, but Israel was so evil-hearted that the Most High allowed that. Why? Because at least the woman leave alive. Read on down. And how do we know that? Because look at what be happening today. When I first got down there like years ago, 22, 23 years ago, in Guatemala, there's a small magazine that used to come out on Sundays only called La Extra. Do you remember La Extra?
Yeah.
Brother, it was about the size of the Jet magazine. Do y'all still got Jet magazine in America? Huh?
Yeah, we think so.
Well, you know what size the little magazine is. It's like, all right, let me put it like this. You might not know about Jet magazine. Y'all still, Jehovah's Witness still pass out like the Watchtower. Right? It's La Extra is a little book about that size, And it's just the news that happened between every Monday and Saturday. And all it is pages of women with machetes in their sunk in their head, heads split in half, heads cut off, gutted. Most of it, all the brutality, most of the brutality would be domestic abuse. What did I mean at the top?
Yeah.
You know, it had the little centerfold of some Honduran hoes coming up, and this is so and so looking for a better life in Guatemala. But that now it's like the last page, but the rest of it was just pages and pages and pages of the brutality that happened during the week in all of the country, and all over the country. Most of those issues of they would show the photo. That was the whole point of that magazine. So you just see a person sitting up on the bed, literally with a machete sunk in the neck and the head daggling off. Somebody with a hammer sunk, and you don't see the hammer part. All you see is the handle of the hammer sticking out the back of somebody's back. And so, and they would tell you this is so and so and so and so and so and so, and then su marido, you know, her husband did this to her. And that was because the reason why I bring that up is because it's a demonstration of such hardness, the hardness of our heart that Christ is referring to. We were not want or inclined to simply forgive each other. We take and listen, and that's how it is today. That's why the scriptures tell you that woman that then went to the second man and then he died, she's defiled, because woe to the man, the third man. And blessings and peace be upon him that's the fourth. And by the time you get to number 8, now she's just out there sports. You know, her body's nothing more than a sexual sports complex. Let's be real. Because that's what's being promoted. Now she's a feminist. Think about that. Now she got pregnant and every time she's dumping babies out like she's a serial killer now. Let's be real. This is how it happens. And so the Most High did not really want that. But there's a part, it's just like the same thing about us being given the law, but not being able to keep it in the sense of the nature, our nature would not allow us to accommodate the perfection of the law. The law is not hard to do. It's not hard. Like us, let's read what we're listening. Did we have to go out and burn our children up to the fires of Molech? No. Why do we do it? Our nature. Do we have to go and create images of, oh my God, I can't help it, give me some gold. You melt it down and turn it into a little bitty figure. Whew, that was killing you after you beat a major idol. No, that wasn't, we just did it because of the influence, because of the power that came from the dark side. And that's the very reason we do it today. So the Most High did not allow or did not intend for us to be putting, listen, continue to read on me. What verse you at? Let me show you what he says.
Okay, verse 6 now.
Go ahead.
But from the beginning of creation, the Most High made them male and female. For this cause shall a man leave his father and mother and cleave to his wife, and they twain shall be one flesh.
So listen, he's quoting, what is he doing? He's taking us back to Genesis. He's like, no, it wasn't like that from the beginning. And then he quotes when the Most High first made Eve for Adam, when she was formed to be a help sufficient and appropriate and proper for him. The Most High ordained that what? That these two are now one. Go ahead.
So then they are no more twain, but one flesh. Verse 9. What therefore the Most High have joined together, let not man put asunder.
Remember, now he's what? Summarizing it. Go ahead.
Verse 10. And in the house his disciples asked him again of the same matter. And he saith unto them, whosoever shall put away his wife and marry another.
Listen to this. Hold on. So this is what he talked to the masses. He explained this to the Pharisees that had asked him. But when the apostles was like, well, they wanted a little bit more. So when they got to the house, they asked him, so why did you tell them, give us more about this issue with what the Most High allowed, but the hardness of our heart. really give us more details on this divorce. So read it again, Amayatazan. Verse 10.
And in the house, his disciples asked him again of the same matter. And he saith unto them, whosoever shall put away his wife and marry another, committeth adultery against her.
Stop right there. Now here's the catch. People read this and they read it from the Christian quote perspective. It says, whosoever shall put away his wife and getteth another. What does he do? It says he committed adultery against her. Why is that? Who knows that? Is that telling you that a man came, the New Testament came and a man can't have two wives? No. It's telling you that he didn't have to unjustifiably put her away to have another wife. And I can prove that. You would be reading this all wrong. Matter of fact, let's do that because we got to put it out there. How do we know this is not saying that if a man get another wife, he's committed adultery? You got to read it. It says if he put her away and get one. Because what happened in Matthew chapter 5, we read, he can't just put her away for anything. If he put her away for anything save fornication, he causes her to commit adultery, which means what? She goes to another man. But he can have her. Let's listen, let's clear it up. Go to Deuteronomy chapter 22. Is it 22? Let me get there. Let me mark this spot right here. Now, why am I going here? Because this is not the topic to talk about multiple wives, but we got to clear that verse up. Amayatazai, is that the chapter where it says if a man have two wives, the one beloved and the other hated?
No, not 20.
Hold on, I'm getting there.
No, that's if you find a damsel.
Yeah, I know man have a damsel, but in that same chapter, let me see.
13.
What chapter is it?
Deuteronomy 22 and 13.
So it is Deuteronomy chapter 22, right?
Uh,
Okay, let's go there.
That's not the one.
Go
That's
ahead.
not the one. That's not the one.
That's not the one?
No, hold on.
Yeah, no. And this one it says, if in verse 13 it says, if any man take a wife and
21.
go, is
Do
what?
2021.
It's the chapter before it.
Yeah.
All right. And
Verse 15.
Okay, we're going to read Deuteronomy chapter 21, verse 15 and 15 through 17. All right. And this is going to show you that Mark chapter 10, verses 10 or 11 is not saying that a man can't have another woman. It's telling you he don't have to what? Leave her or put her away to get one. And if he put her away to get one, now he's an adulterer. Read on down.
Verse Deuteronomy 21 and verse 15. If a man have two wives, one beloved and another hated,
Stop right there. You're going to find out that the issue ain't even about the woman. The issue is about the heir, the son. Now, when he says one beloved and one hated, he's not talking in the stream of hating. He's saying one of them is the favorite and the other one isn't. See, men can have that. Most High have a favorite everything. Out of all of Israel, he have a favorite tribe, Judah. Tells you that. Out of all the flowers, this is written in the book of in Ecclesiastes. Out of all the flowers, his favorite is the lily. Out of all the fowl, meaning flying animals, his favorite is the dove. Out of all cattle, his favorite is the sheep. Out of all rivers and bodies of water, his favorite is the Jordan. Out of all parcels of land, his favorite is Israel. Out of all people, his favorite is Israel. And out of all of Israel, his favorite is Judah. That's why he sent his son down in Judah. So he's saying if this man have more than one wife and two wives, and one of them is favored over the other. Go ahead. How many answers are?
If a man have two wives, one beloved and another hated, and they have borne him children, both the beloved.
He got kids with these. Well, he got 2 baby mamas, as they say today. Continue.
Both the beloved and the hated. And if the firstborn son be hers that was hated, then it shall be, when he maketh his sons to inherit that which he have, that he may not make the son of the beloved firstborn before the son of the hated, which is indeed the firstborn. But he shall acknowledge the son of the hated for the firstborn, by giving him a double portion of all that he have. For he is the beginning of his strength. The right of the firstborn is his.
Now hold on. So let's break that down. That means a man have 2 wives. One of them is favored and the other's not. But the one that's not favored is the one that bears a firstborn son. The one that's favored bears a son also, but he wasn't born first. He can't say, well, since you're my favorite, I'm going to take the son that you bore me and make him the firstborn over the one who really is. So the issue ain't even about multiple women. The issue is about the heir. The issue is about the sons. So when he tells you in Mark, whoever put this woman away and get another, as showing you, it's because he put her away unjustly. He could have easily had another woman, and then she would become what? The hated. Simple and plain. That probably already got kids with him, and he's still gonna have to recognize her son as the firstborn above this new one that he's favored for now. Right? So that's what this is what this is about. This is about fairness with the woman, fairness with the child. Think about that. You can't just put the woman away for any old thing. Is she a witch? Your woman's constantly going to the tarot card place, put her ass out because she's bringing demons to your house. That's reality. She won't come out the Catholic or the any type of church, and she's all, I'm gonna send prayers for you. Keep them damn prayers to yourself. Matter of fact, get the hell out. Matter of fact, I'll go. Talk about haunted houses. It ain't no such thing as a haunted house. The house be what? The house be endemoniado. It be having demons. People don't know that. For real. So here we go, putting this in perspective. Now, what verse was that you finished up in Mark on?
Bear with me a second. In Mark, I finished on verse 8. No,
Okay.
verse 9. Verse 9.
Read verse
No. Verse 11.
Okay, read verse 11 again, and then move on down to and finish it up to verse 12.
Okay. Mark chapter 10, verse 11. And he saith unto them, whosoever shall put away his wife and marry another committeth adultery against her.
So is that clear for you guys, brothers and sisters? It's not saying he can't have another woman. The violation is that he put her away without cause. And that is what makes her and him an adulterer. Go ahead.
Verse 12. And if a woman shall put away her husband and be married to another, she committeth adultery.
Now hold on. Why is this important? Verse 11 is something introduced in the Old Testament. It was given by the Most High. It was like a law, but it was a concession. Why do I say a concession? It was something that the Most High conceded to us because of a spiritual deficiency. Our evil against one another, our inability to what? To forgive, to bear with, to long suffer. Okay? But number 2, or I should say verse 12, and if a woman should leave, why is that there? Because it wasn't until we began to get under the influences and power of the other nations that began to be granted to our women. In other words, that wasn't allowed by the Most High. That's why you ain't going to find it. But once we went under the power, the authority of the Babylonians, the Persians, and the Persians, we're going to show you the Persians didn't play that. The Persians did not play women usurping authority or disobeying their men. The Persians was literally serious about order among the women of their society under their men. And we're going to read that too, just tonight to show you that. So it wasn't really until the Greeks, it's always Esau, and the Romans came for real. Always Esau, yo. He's always the one that taking the evil to the next level. You go and read it. It wasn't until the Greeks and the Romans began to give the power of the women to leave the men in other areas. Why? Because that was how you broke down the structure of national unity. You divide the household first. You divide the, listen, if you get enough household, yes?
He still does it with that, he's in that culture war in the Middle East. He's trying to constantly westernize the Eastern Arabic women to be able to drive. Not, I don't think this is problem driving, but the whole.
No, but that's it. But listen, that's the perfect modern day example, because even before they do that, even before they invade, when they have a campaign against any country in the East, they always go and show what? They do a campaign, a media blitz on how the women are mistreated, always.
And in Africa, they're pushing women deserve the right and the ability to abort children, right? And
yeah.
The African women, I don't know if they're Jews, I don't know what they are. They say that in our language, there's not even a word for abortion.
Right, exactly. It is, but it's not abortion. They would call it murder. They would call it whatever the word murder is in their language. That's what it would be called. It wouldn't be called abortion. You understand? So this is what the most, so here he's telling you now he's what? Now he's adding in the factor that the women were given authority by the Greeks and the Romans to leave the men. Now, read that verse again, and then we're going to go to the book of Esther.
Verse 12, and if a man shall put away her husband and be married to another, she committeth adultery.
All right, so you see that. She's not supposed to do that. Let's go to the book of Esther. Now, why am I going to go here? To show how as early or as late, I don't know whether to say early. In other words, up until the time of the Persians. Now, whose authority was the kingdom of Judah under during before the Persians? Judah was under the Babylonians, and the Babylonians didn't allow that. You don't have that written. You don't have the scriptures that depicted that's how they operated against us. And we're gonna find out that the Persians didn't either. They took us into captivity, and then the Most High used their king to allow us to go back to rebuild our civilization. But they still, now when you watch that movie 300, and they show Xerxes running with all the nipple rings and all that crazy twisted bling on, they're running around here, and his total garments was, his wardrobe was diapers, just sat up on the throne naked. That all of that is Esau taking the dark. And remember, they didn't look like regular Middle Eastern folks like the Hindus that the old Elam are the old Indians today. The people just like the Arabs are not who they were, if the sons of Ishmael of the old. The Egyptians are not the sons of Mizraim of old. Neither are the Persians the sons of Elam of old. Matter of fact, you want to look up where the term Aryan come from. It comes from Iran. Like the Aryan race, the Aryan nation, that come from Iran. They're not the people of today of Iranians are not the old school Elamites and Persians. But we're going to read what happened and how this thing came to be with the women, or let's say the order. In other words, you're going to read this and you're going to get a sense of what? Social order. But Esau tries to show, and they didn't just use the Indians, they used actual American black people. The dude that played Xerxes was actually a Brazilian brother. So he's an Israelite. He's like, his voice was supposed to be like a harmonica. Nigga was speaking with 3 different voices. What? I'm the most merciful. I don't know if y'all saw that movie 300.
Oh yeah.
But they had all the hunchback, freaky, what do you call those, hermaphrodites? It was just but all of that was brought in. I'm not saying the other nations didn't commit it, but who made that? Who do we know that lifestyle was? That was all Greco-Roman. Everybody knows that. That's why the Most High tell you in the book of Daniel, that Alexander, the great horn, would be broken off, and then the horn would be broken and turned into four, but not to his posterity, because Alexander didn't have any children, because Alexander was a homosexual that toured with his lover. Okay, so we're gonna go to the book of Esther, and I want Amiyatazar you to start off in verse 1. I'm on my way there. Chapter 1 and verse 1.
Kawakab.
Yes,
I have a question about Mark 10, verse 4.
go ahead and read. Read that Amiyatazar, and then ask your question. In other words, read Mark 10 and verse 4, and then ask your question.
Okay. And they said, Moses suffered to write a bill of divorcement and to put her away.
Okay, go ahead, Troy. What's your question?
Well, when it says that Moses suffered to write a bill of divorcement, that suggests to me that it wasn't in his heart to do it, but he did it, due to the conditions of our heart and the command that was given to him. But it's not something he desired to do. That's what it suggests to me.
Well, and that's what Christ, listen, Christ is talking to them in the manner of how they talked among themselves and to Christ. Every time they said Moses, it was understood that it was the Most High, because everything the Most High did in the time of Moses, he did it in the time of us with Moses, he did it through Moses. So when it says the Most High, it's clear that what? That's why we go back to the Old Testament and read. Now let's do this, just so we can get the perspective. Once again, go to Deuteronomy 24 and read verse 1.
Deuteronomy chapter 24, verse 1. When a man have taken a wife and married her, and it come to pass that she find no favor in his eyes, because he have found some uncleanness in her, then let him write her a bill of divorcement and give it in her hand and send her out of his house.
Right, hold on, I'm gonna make a point. I'm trying to get there first. Continue to read on down.
Verse 2. And when she is departed out of his house,
Well,
she may go.
I want to skip that concept, so I want you to jump down to verse 5.
Verse 5. When a man have taken a new wife, he shall not go out to war, neither shall he be charged with any business.
Okay,
But
stop right there. Go down. I want everybody to focus on what's being said in the beginning. It's not, when a man have taken a wife, no man shall, now verse 6, no man shall, why am I going that? Because we have to go far back enough. And when I say far back enough, that means this is Deuteronomy chapter 24. We got to go back to the last time before this, when the Lord says, when the chapter says, and the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, because what happened was all of this remember, we're reading chapters and verses, but this wasn't given to Moses in chapters and verses. So the farther back you go, you're going to go to a point where you'll say, and the Lord spake unto Moses and said, Moses, speak unto the children of Israel. So I don't know if that's going to be in chapter 22, but from at least, I'm going to find it. So I want to task somebody with doing that. Now I'm at chapter 21 of Deuteronomy, and it doesn't start off like that. I'm at chapter 20. It doesn't start off like that, because this is the Most High in a flow. When I say in a flow, meaning there's going to come a point in the beginning of, now you might find it within the middle of the chapter, but I'm in 19, Deuteronomy 19, and it doesn't say, and the Lord spake unto Moses. But there's going to come a point. So I want somebody to go far back and look, but you can't start off in the beginning. You have to start off in chapter 24 and go all the way back and looking to see, let me see.
In Deuteronomy, right? In Deuteronomy?
We're in the book of Deuteronomy. But what I'm trying to show you is there's a point where the Most High addressed Moses, and it always starts off, and the Lord spake unto Moses and said, speak unto the children of Israel. And then they'll make a point. Then when that point is done, it finishes, and then it goes on and says again, and the Lord spake unto Moses and said, speak unto the children of Israel. And what I'm trying to show you here is people think this is Moses talking. People think this is Moses because it says in the New Testament, Moses did suffer. Moses was acting on behalf of the Most High. And you have to find the verse. And this is, I'm in verse 11, I'm in chapter 11, chapter 12, because Moses is, it might be Deuteronomy chapter 1. Let me get that. It might literally, because I know that's what it says, but I want to know. Go to Deuteronomy chapter 1, Amiyatazah, because I know it says it there. You're going to read verse 1. It says, these be the words that the Lord spake unto Moses on this side of Jordan. And Deuteronomy chapter 1 and verse 1. Read that, Amiyatazah.
These be the words which Moses spake unto all Israel on this side Jordan, in the wilderness, in the plain over against the Red Sea, between Paran and Tophel, and Laban and Hazeroth and Dizahab.
So now guess what you're going to do? You're going to read the last verse of Numbers, the Numbers chapter 30, the last verse of the previous chapter. So it's going to be Numbers chapter 36 and verse 13.
These are the commandments and the judgments which the Lord commanded by the hand of Moses unto the children of Israel in the plains of Moab by Jordan near Jericho.
So everything that's following that is what Moses delivered to us. So you go this whole book almost where you're not going to hear it say, and the Lord spake unto Moses saying, speak unto the children of Israel, because he lets you know at the end of Numbers. Now, why is this important? Because Moses is getting ready to die. People don't know that. They ain't read the book. So the Most High then took all of this time from Exodus to Numbers and gave Moses these instructions. Now Moses is in the land of Moab, Mount Nebo, and he's given his last instructions because he was not going to be allowed to go into the land of Canaan because he broke the first commandments. Not broke them like disobeyed. He saw Israel doing fornicating. He saw Israel, Aaron, his own brother, had made a golden calf while he was up 40 days getting the commandments handwritten by the finger of the Most High, and he took the stones and dropped them and slammed them down out of his anger. And for that, the most, yes.
Numbers 35 and 9 says, starts as the Lord spake unto Moses.
Yeah, but see, that's the last time between there and Deuteronomy that you find that. So when you go so in the last chapter here, verse Numbers 36, verse 13, these are the commandments and the judgments which the Lord commanded by the hand of Moses unto the children of Israel in the plains of Moab by Jordan near Jericho. Now what happens in verse 1, Deuteronomy 1? These be the words which Moses spake unto Israel on this side of Jordan in the wilderness of the plain over against the Red Sea between, in other words, Moses is at this spot, and now everything that we read in Deuteronomy is delivered by the Most High. So yeah, Moses delivered it, but it was the Most High that understood the hardness of Israel's heart. And he put that in there to help us to be able to have a mechanism of preservation of one another concerning domestic disputes without it coming to bloodshed, specifically on the woman's part. Because if she didn't have that and it resorted to a fisticuff, she wasn't going to win, and there was no police to call back then. Wasn't no 911 that was going to come and intervene from another nation on her behalf. But it was specified if there be some uncleanliness. And so all of those terms, Deuteronomy chapter 24, verse 1, if he find not favor in her because of some uncleanliness, that uncleanliness wasn't talking about because she won't clean the house. So she got to go. It wasn't talking about she keep leaving a ring around the bathtub. It was talking about the uncleanliness. Let's clear that up real quick. Who knows where that chapter is in the book of Joshua, where Joshua were Akkad. the guy who took the Babylonian idol.
Second.
And this is important. First read Deuteronomy chapter 24 and verse 1 again.
Deuteronomy 24 and verse 1. When a man have taken a wife and married her, and it come to pass that she find no favor in his eyes, because he have found some uncleanliness in her.
Now hold on, he's showing you. He no longer finds favor in her, meaning she no longer pleases him, but it tells you why. Because he done found some uncleanliness. Now let's go see what the Most High consider, what type of uncleanliness would justify divorce. So I want that chapter in the book of Joshua, where Akkad was his name.
Joshua chapter 7.
Let's go there. And you know what? We're not going to read the whole account. We're going to read, well, maybe we will. Let me go there.
Verse 21.
Yeah, but I want to read where the men were slain. I want you to pick up where Joshua complains or cries out to the Lord behind the men that died, and they couldn't take that city. So we're going to chapter 7, you say?
Yeah.
I'm getting there. Where we going?
Where you rent his clothes?
Yeah, start off, I guess, at verse 6.
Yeah. And Joshua rent his clothes and fell to the earth upon his face before the ark of the Lord unto the eventide, he and the elders of Israel, and put dust upon their heads. And Joshua said, Alas, O Lord power, wherefore hast thou at all brought this people over Jordan to deliver us into the hand of the Amorites to destroy us? Would to the Most High we had been content and dwelt on the other side Jordan.
Yeah, if we didn't know this was going to happen, we just would have stepped with that little portion of land, all of us on the other side of Jordan. Go ahead.
O Lord, what shall I say when Israel turneth their backs before their enemies? For the Canaanites and all the inhabitants of the land shall hear of it, and shall envy on us around, and cut off our name from the earth. And what wilt thou do unto thy great name? And the Lord said unto Joshua, Get thee up. Wherefore liest thou thus upon thy face? Israel have sinned, and they have also transgressed my covenant which I commanded them. For they have even taken of the accursed thing, and have also stolen and dissembled also, and they have put it even among their own stuff. Therefore,
okay, hold up. I'm mixing circumstances, because this one is talking about the accursed thing, and that accursed thing is referring to that Babylonian idol that he brought out. But I'm looking for a circumstance that was similar, where the Most High said we were unclean, and it was because of a similar. So I have to look for it. So in the meantime, go to the book of Esther, like we were going to. Well, I look for this, because what I'm trying to show you is when it says some uncleanliness. In other words, that wasn't completely open to just interpretation of the man. You know what I mean? In other words, you're unclean, and then put you away. And that's why Christ specifically came and cleared that up. But go ahead, I can start reading. Go ahead and start reading Esther chapter 1.
Esther chapter 1 and verse 1. Now it came to pass in the days of Ahasuerus. This is Ahasuerus, which reigned from India even unto Ethiopia, over 127 provinces. That in those days, when the king Ahasuerus sat on the throne of his kingdom, which was in Shushan, the palace, in the 3rd year of his reign, he made a feast unto all his princes and his servants, the power of Persia and Media, the nobles and princes of the provinces being before him.
Now this is Xerxes. All Artaxerxes is the Xerxes of the book, the movie 300. Go ahead.
When he showed the riches of his glorious kingdom and the honor of his excellent majesty many days, even 180 days. And when these days were expired, the king made a feast unto all the people that were present in Shushan the palace, both unto great and small, 7 days in the court of the garden of the king's palace, where were white, green, and blue hangings, fastened with cords of fine linen, and purple to silver rings and pillars of marble. The beds were of gold and silver, upon a pavement of red and blue and white and black marble.
In other words, he's showing off the elegance of his kingdom to all the princes that came from all the provinces for this banquet. It said 180 days, right?
Yeah.
That's 180 days of just feasting. Go ahead.
Verse 7. And they gave them drink in vessels of gold, the vessels being diverse one from another, and royal wine in abundance, according to the state of the king. And the drinking was according to the law, none did compel. For so the king had appointed to all the officers of his house, that they should do according to every man's pleasure. Also Vashti, the queen, made a feast for the women in the royal house, which belonged to King Ahasuerus. On the 7th day, when the heart of the king was merry with wine, he commanded.
So he's partying, he's closing out this banquet. He done had wine and he's at the height of his happiness. Listen to what he does. Go ahead.
On the 7th day, when the heart of the king was merry with wine, he commanded Mehaman, Bisphar, Habonah, Bigphar, and Abagphar, Zephyr, and Carcass, the 7 chamberlains that served in the presence of Ahasuerus the king, to bring Vashti the queen before the king with the crown royal, to show the people and the princes her beauty, for she was fair to look on. But the queen Vashti refused to come at the king's commandment by his chamberlain.
He wanted to show off how fine his woman was. He's married, y'all. Y'all gonna see this. Watch. Hey, get Vashti. Tell Vashti to come here. She's like playing women's lip now. I'm not just some, object that you could just, for whatever reason, she decided to disobey the king. Now, this is the quote queen. Go ahead.
Verse 12. But the queen Vashti refused to come at the queen's commandment by his chamberlain. Yeah, at the king's commandments by his chamberlains. Therefore was the king very wroth, and his anger burned in him. Then
now,
the king.
On. Now you everybody here know about Israelite men, and you can't do certain things and say certain things while we drink. Y'all know that that ain't just Gad. It ain't just us that get lit and be ready to tear some stuff up once we get that liquor in us. So he's running around here and it be like that. We be at the height of having a good time, and then when something bang, we change like that. So now he's sitting up there mulling over it. Just, and what, he got all of his princes there? If he don't do something, they're gonna go back to all of those 170 provinces and be like, man, she dissed Xerxes, man. Read on down.
Verse 12. No, verse 13 now. Then the king said to the wise men which knew the times, for so was the king's manner toward all that knew law and judgment.
So hold on, it's showing you. This monster that they showed in the movie 300 is not this dude. It says he had all the wise men there because he was always wanting to be surrounded by the men that knew the times and how to deal with wisdom. He didn't have a bunch of Morphidites and hunchbacks and traitors and stuff. Go ahead.
Verse 14. And the next unto him was Karshena, Shepha, Admatha, Tarshish, Merez, Marsena, and Memucan, the 7 princes of Persia and Media, which saw the king's face, and which sat the first in the kingdom.
So these were the ones that were all the princesses that were over everything else. Go ahead.
Verse 15. What shall we do unto the queen Vashti according to law?
Listen to this. She was not above the law. This woman done disobeyed me in front of everybody in the whole kingdom. What do we? He asked them. What we going? Listen, that's his woman. But he's asking these wise men, man, we got to come up with, she got to be punished. Now he's going to tell you why. The wise men are going to mention why. Go ahead.
So verse 15. What shall we do unto the queen Vashti according to law? Because she have not performed the commandment of the king Ahasuerus by the chamberlains.
Because she have not what? She have not obeyed. That's what it means. She disobeyed the king's commandment. The commandment was simple. Come here. Go ahead.
Verse 16. And Memucan answered before the king and the princes, Vashti, the queen, have not done wrong to the king only, but also to all the princes and to all the people that are in all the provinces of the king Ahasuerus.
Now he's going to tell you, when it said all the people, she did bad to the common man. He's going to show you. She did a poor example to the common woman. Read on down.
Wow.
I know, right? And here you got 300 showing him in diapers with all of these crazy ass San Francisco, New York Village people piercings and stuff, nipple rings, you know, running around here with his little huggies on. Go ahead. And they were like 6'9" too, with a harmonica voice. Go ahead.
Verse 17. For this deed of the queen shall come abroad unto all women, so that they shall despise their husbands in their eyes.
See?
Now,
hold on, let me stop. He's showing you this example will cause all the women to despise the men. This can't go on. He wasn't looking out for himself. He's like, we're going to end up with an unorderly, disorderly what? Society. And it starts at what? The basic household. Read on down.
when it shall be reported, the king Ahasuerus commanded Vashti the queen to be brought in before him, but she came not. Likewise shall the ladies of Persia and Media say this day unto all the king's princes, which have heard of the deed of the queen. Wow.
I know you can't get over it.
I'm like, these women, they can't even say no to me no more.
Go ahead.
Thus shall there arise too much contempt and wrath. If it please the king.
Hold on, stop. He says, from this example would arise what?
Shall arise too much contempt and wrath.
Contempt. Now, hold on. Who got the dictionary to look up contempt? Because it's talking about a disdain now for authority. And with all of this, he still didn't divorce her. He just put her ass away.
Wow.
You'll see, she became #1 hostess. She became queen of the dungeon.
Powerful.
Who got that diction? You got that, Troy?
I got it.
Go ahead.
Contempt, lack of respect or reverence for something.
Ha! See that? Go ahead.
The state of being despised, disobedience to, or open disrespect of a court, judge, or legislative body.
Or a husband. This is what I say. You're charged with contempt of court. You're going to do 30 days in prison. Right? And you're going to put him in the cell with Leroy, the man boy. Them judges don't be playing that. So now, but this is talking about contempt of what? The average man in his household. So this is showing you that the ancient world wasn't one of this order. All that came from the Greeks and the Romans on down. That's Esau's legacy. Disorder in the entire nation. People killing their kids, boarding their kids. Go ahead. You know, Amayaka, you want to say something?
Yeah, just to add on to it, says, for the word contempt. This is one word. This word is one of the strongest expressions of mean opinion which the language affords.
Hold on, I hear something in the background. Read that out loud again.
For contempt, this word is one of the strongest expressions of mean opinion which the language affords.
That means you can't say that level of disrespect can't be for authority, can't even be expressed in a word more stronger than contempt. That's cold right there. That's just as powerful as the definition itself, even more so. That means you don't even have to say mother effing contempt. You could just say contempt, you know. That effing contempt, you ain't got to say that. That'll water it down. Contempt is strong enough. Anyway, go ahead and continue to read Amiyata from the top of the last verse that you read.
Okay. Verse 18. Likewise shall the ladies of Persia and Media say this day unto all the king's princes, which have heard of the deed of the queen. Thus shall there arise too much contempt and wrath.
So
if it please
what? Listen, on one part, it's talking about both. It said there will arise. I'm trying to show you why the Most High, I'm using this to show you the Most High knew this was in men. And so he created a dynamic so that it wouldn't go on in what? In contempt, but it didn't say contempt only, it said wrath. Because you know why? Because wrath is what happens on the man's part in the face of contempt. That's why they be getting their faces beat in. People don't want to accept that. The Most High made men a certain way. We beat each other. Who the hell are you going to run around here, need me to protect you? You walking down the street and she see the little pit bull, she put you on that side of the pit bull. Because she know that pit bull will eat her ass up. So that means she got more respect for a pit bull than she do you, because she get in your face and put her finger on your forehead and do everything in the world to get you to what? To blow up, because she knows she got 911 to call. Now, why am I going down that path? Because that's the wrath that he's speaking of. He said, man, if this get out, these women are going to be disrespected, and it's going to bring contempt and wrath, meaning a disrespect for the woman toward her man, and then his reaction to her disrespect is wrathful. And that's what the Most High referred to as the hardness of our heart. So it's better what? That he give her a bill of divorce and let her go. Read on down. Amiyatazah.
Verse 19. If it please the king, let there go a royal commandment from him, and let it be written among the laws of the Persians and the Medes, that it be not altered, that Vashti come no more before King Ahasuerus, and let the king.
Hold on, listen, hold on. You read that one too fast. This is the queen. Hey, listen up. She was banished from this before his sight. You don't want to come when I call you, so you will never be called upon again. That's cold.
Yeah.
And all of this to maintain order in his kingdom. And in this verse, it said his princes. But watch, later on down, it's going to talk about the common man also, to preserve that he has respect in his house, however meager his setting be. Go ahead. I mean, you have to read that from the top of that verse again.
Verse 19, if it please the king, let there go a royal commandment from him, and let it be written among the laws of the Persians and the Medes, that it be not altered, that Vashti come no more before King Ahasuerus, and let the king give her royal estate unto another that is better than she.
You've been released, woman. I release you. And not only do I release you, he Orange Juice Jones her ass. Now he's what? Now he's given everything that was hers to another. Go ahead.
Verse
So
20.
So was those 15 seconds of fame worth it, Vashti? Go ahead.
And when the king's decree which he shall make shall be published throughout all his empire, for it is great, all the wives shall give to their husbands honor, both to the great and small.
Told you. So this dude was about what? Social, domestic order. He wasn't about his, because that weakens your kingdom. If the disrespect and contempt is not in the household, is not if the respect and order and obedience, it doesn't abide in the household of the common man. Those are the type of people that will what? That will be serving the kingdom. You're gonna have shitty work ethics, excuse my language, but you know, in other words, that permeates, that is what you become. If you don't listen, I'm gonna prove it to you. If a man or a woman is grown up, a child, male or female, is grown up devoid of respect for her father and her mother, then who will she or he respect growing up? Who is more important to you than your father and your mother? Even Christ, the Most High, said, and this is among the 10 commandments, honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the earth, the land where thou go to possess. That means you extend your life just respecting your father and your mother. So now you take these disrespectful children toward their parents and put them in the levels of society where adults just move on up without this respect. Because remember, if you don't get it as a child, we always be talking about it, home training. You ain't got no HT. The scriptures tell you that in the book of Ecclesiastes. If thou hast gathered nothing in thy youth, how shalt thou gather anything in thine age? So it's showing you, man, this was a big matter. The matter was so big that it made me gotta go use the restroom. I'll be right back, y'all.
Shalom Yatzah. Yatzah.
Maybe. It's all.
Someone's calling me.
Shalom, Mark.
Shalom.
And we never introduced ourselves. I was laughing because I had forgotten your name. And my name's Amayafia, and there's another brother, Amatazar. And my name, his name, make your name, I almost make your name up. So I was laughing at, what is his name? And I asked him, he was like, man, I don't know. Yeah, Amayafia.
Yeah. So, well, you know what it means.
Well, my name is Genuine. His name is Fortitude. So I like to think it was Genuine Fortitude.
Okay. Amiyafia means, Amiyafia means genuine. Okay. Amyatsa means fearless.
Okay. I was laughing at, but laughing, I couldn't remember your name. I was like, God,
Whatever they both mean, what may you please live up to them? Hey, listen up. So read the last verse that you read in the book of Esther again. Now remember, why are we here? We're here to show, I'm giving you this as a demonstration scripturally to show what is referred to in Matthew or Mark rather, where Christ said, because of the hardness of your heart. Now I went to the other nations because to show that is how any man outside the law will react to that disdain, will react to what? To disobedience. Now remember in Ecclesiastes 25, it says, if she will not go as thou have her, if she will not do as thou have her, cut her off from thy flesh, give her a bill of divorce and let her go. So that's making reference to what we read in Deuteronomy. But that's what it shows you, that in other words, because if that course of action, if that provision was not allowed by the Most High and given to Moses to give to us, then even the Gentile king, who have nothing to do with the Most High, understood that disrespect would result, that contempt would result in wrath. Are you guys seeing the connection? So we just happen to be the people of the Most High, who the Most High dealt with to teach us these matters. But even other nations went about their own way to try to what? Circumvent such a peril that would happen in their society. So he did that to make sure it wasn't about him only. It wasn't about him and his king's pride. Of course he was offended, but he knew that this one example coming from the top will cause all forms of what? Disrespect, and then the violence. That's what the wrath is. Contempt and wrath means disrespect and violence that would follow. Because that's the nature. Look at what look how we disrespected the Most High until he did to us. Has this not been violent, to say the least? Go ahead, Amayatazar, read on down.
Verse 21. And the saying pleased the king and the princes. And the king did according to the word of Memucan. For he sent letters into all the king's provinces, into every province according to the writing thereof, and to every people after their language, that every man should bear rule in his own house.
Whoa, hold on, what?
Every man should bear rule in his own house.
Now, this isn't written what I'm going to say, but in light of what this king wrote, what do you think the men would have done after this decree went out? Because they didn't just write the decree, they wrote the whole account, what happened and what led the king to such a decree. So what do you think the other men would have done also? The other men would have followed suit of what the king did, not to tolerate that. Because had they not, the woman would have followed what? The example of what the queen did. So, and the women following the example of what the queen did, the king did not what? The king did not resort to violence with her. The king did what would be the equivalent of a divorce. She never came before. And listen, and David did the same. Did y'all know that? David was out partying because the Lord had delivered him from all of his enemies. And he had this wife that was the daughter of one of his enemies, Saul. David is dancing and his balls fall out, right? And then she like looking at you. She like, look at you making a fool of yourself. She basically disrespected him. And she said, in front of all the virgins. David got mad and she said, therefore all the virgins will have me and you will not. And the scripture says she never bore children, which means David never dealt with her. It's the equivalent of a divorce. He didn't say she went, he just, no, you still mine. You just ain't gonna see me no more. I'm gonna be invisible to you. I'm gonna be the ghost of David's past. And you gonna hear other women moaning. In other words, but listen, and we'll get, I'm yet to say while you reading that, if somebody can look for that also. All right, so we can read that. Why? So we can show you that this was a true phenomenon that took place. And so Israel, look at this. David never saw Micah, the daughter of Saul, again. And what was that out of? Let's be real. She disrespected him, but what was it that made him be able to not see her again? The hardness of his heart. Period, point blank. People act like David didn't have that. David's second wife, Abigail, was the result of a woman who belonged to a man whose fields David watched and protected while he was on the run from Saul, and this man wouldn't even give David food. David went back and he stated, he told his men, suit up, gird up, we're going to go to whatever the guy's name was, Nahab or Naaman or something like that. And he said, we're going to kill everything that pisses against the wall. If it has a penis, it dies. And when he got there to do that, the Most High had already killed the man. The man died of what could be perceived natural causes. And so that woman, but his wife, Abigail, but without her husband knowing, had brought out some food for David and the men. And so when David went back to kill him, he was dead, and that became David's second wife, Abigail. So we can go through all the circumstances and show the hardness of Israel's heart is real, brother. And we know it today by our own self. Brothers and sisters will be running around here getting mean at each other for some stuff that happened in a previous relationship. You'll be by yourself and you'll think about an ex. You'll be running around and think about something favorable about it, and then you remember why you broke up and you go right back to that attitude again. Effort, for real. So he said, nope, just like the king of Persia, if this thing allows so that it doesn't come to contempt and wrath, because a man is not going to continue. Why would the man's heart be hardened? From the continual what? From the continual, and it goes back to what a man loves. We're going to read, let's read. Well, let's stick on one thing. Because it's not easy to please a man, but by the same token, it's not hard to set him off either. That's the reality of it. It's so easy to please a man. Is why it's so easy to make him mad. Because you won't do that, and it's still too easy to do. That's what makes you mad, is that what? Is that the fact that she won't do it shows her clean disdain for me, because I'm not asking her something to perform something hard. That's why the Lord said the hardness of our heart. We were too wrathful. We were too unforgiving. We were too, we weren't apt or inclined to be long-suffering before we began to be violent. So what you got, Amayetazar?
Nothing.
Well, that's clear enough. Did anybody find that verse? Amayetazar just said nothing.
2 Samuel chapter 6, starting at verse 16.
Go there, Amayetazar. 2 Samuel chapter 6. Now what are we doing? We're demonstrating the inclinations of men, the reason for which the Most High allowed a provision of divorce.
Which one?
Go.
2 Samuel chapter what chapter?
Chapter 6, chapter what?
Chapter 6, start at verse 16.
Okay, thank you. 2 Samuel chapter 6. Let me just get in there. Verse 16. And as the ark of the Lord came into the city of David, Micah, Saul's daughter, looked through a window and saw King David leaping and dancing before the Lord. And
David was bringing the Ark of the Covenant to his city, the city of David, Bethlehem. He's out there praising the Most High, dancing, brother. Go ahead.
and she despised him in her heart. I love this because this is all what these women do today. It's all in the scriptures.
You know,
And they all
David was happy, huh? David was happy.
Yeah.
She just couldn't stand to see him happy.
Bro.
Go ahead.
And she despised him in her heart. And they brought in the ark of the Lord and set it in his place, in the midst of the tabernacle that David had pitched for it. And David offered burnt offerings and peace offerings before the Lord. And as soon as David had made an end of offering burnt offerings and peace offerings, he blessed the people in the name of the Lord of hosts. And he dealt among all the people, even among the whole multitude of Israel, as well to the women as men. To everyone a cake of bread and a good piece of flesh and a flagon of wine. So all the people departed, everyone to his house.
Right, David sent everybody home with some wine, some meat, and some bread. Y'all going home and party, man. Don't hook your woman up tonight, brother. Go ahead.
Then David returned to bless his household. And Michal, the daughter of Saul, came out to meet David and said, how glorious was the king of Israel today, who uncovered himself today in the eyes of the handmaids of his servants.
So that means while he was out dancing before the ark, she saw that he lost himself. She said, he didn't you on how, yeah, no one's what she did, how I saw you out there. Look, how royal you must have been out there when your balls came out. How royal was the king looking today when he uncovered himself? Go ahead.
As one of the vain fellows shamelessly uncovereth himself.
Whoa, now when it said the vain fellows, that's talking about men that be out there with their balls hanging out. David was glorifying the Lord, and she saw it, and now she's trying to take him and say, you weren't nothing more than a common man with himself exposed. But it happened while he was praising the Most High. Go ahead.
And David said unto Michal, it was before the Lord which chose me before thy father.
Oh, he came at her hard. He said, you just mad because your daddy got rejected and I got chosen. It was the Heavenly Father that chose me and rejected your daddy. You hear me? Your daddy, not mine. Because why? Because that's how Israel roll. Y'all know it. David was out there doing that. Yeah, you got rejected. I got chosen. Go ahead.
Verse 21. And David said unto Michal, it was before the Lord which chose me before thy father and before all his house to appoint me ruler over the people of the Lord, over Israel. Therefore will I play before the Lord. And I will yet be more vile than thus.
Oh, hold on. David turned big on him. He said, you ain't seen nothing yet. I'm going to be more vile. My ass going to hang out with all of the virgins. Read on
down. and I will yet be more vile than thus. And will be
now stop. Let's go look up vile so you can see what David is telling her. Look up the definition of vile. He said, I'm going to be more vile than that.
Wow.
Y'all know, right? That's why the scripture said, ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
Hey, I got the definition of vile.
Go ahead and read it, brother. Your dictionary will be coming hard. Go ahead.
Vile, base, mean, worthless.
Hold on. Mean is a term that means average. It doesn't mean mean like he's so mean. That's talking about cruel. When you say the word mean, it means average, because David was far more than above average. But he said, now I'm going to be more base. I'm going to be more mean, meaning average. I'm going to be more, because remember, she said, you act like one of the common men, one of the vain fellows. She was calling him like a street nigga. Go ahead.
Worthless.
Whoa. He said, you want to see worthless? You ain't seen nothing yet. Go ahead.
Despicable. Morally based or impure.
Listen to this, morally based. So he wasn't telling her that he was going to break the law. He was making reference to what? To how she described him after he had his little wardrobe malfunction. Ain't that what they call it now? David was out dancing before the Lord and had a wardrobe malfunction. and she got mad and couldn't wait till he got home to be able to throw it at him. And he says, "You ain't seen nothing yet, baby. You're about to see how black my ass is." You know, go ahead. Who's reading? Continue with this. The definition is enough. Continue with the scripture, Amiyatazar.
Okay, verse 22. And I will yet be more vile than thus, and will be base in mine own sight. And of the maidservants which thou hast spoken of them shall I be had in honor.
Oh, he said of the maidservants, all the little virgins out there that you said I was doing this in front of, they're gonna be had in honor. They're gonna honor me and not you. He said, I'm gonna be with them. Go ahead.
Verse 23. Therefore, Michal, the daughter of Saul, had no child unto the day of her death.
Now, what did he do? He put her ass away. And that was to keep from, imagine if she'd have kept up, because don't think that he wasn't going to be reminded of the fact that her father made multiple attempts and went on a years-long campaign of trying to kill him. And that she was, remember, David loved her brother, Jonathan. Jonathan was fighting like hell to save David's life at the expense of the crown that was supposed to go to him. Remember, Saul was king. And Saul told Jonathan, what are you doing? He says, I'm trying to preserve your throne, man. Hey, David's my friend. David is worth more to me than your throne, Dad. But not this one. This one was the one that couldn't stand him because the Lord chose him and rejected her daddy, right? So anyway, let's go back now to Mark chapter 10. And I want the verse specifically, it may be verse 10 where it says, because of the hardness of your heart. Now, we're going to be go ahead.
Verse 5.
Go ahead and read it.
Hold on, I'm coming.
Okay.
What chapter? Mark what?
Mark chapter 10 and verse 5.
Okay.
Then you're going to jump down to verse 11 and 12.
Okay. Mark chapter 10 and verse 5. And Yahushua answered and said unto them, for the hardness of your heart, he wrote you this precept.
Now, hold on. Now you have a demonstration after the fact. After Moses gave us the law, we still can go in the Bible and read episodes. You can go, even Samson expressed disdain toward his woman, having revealed the secret of a riddle to the Philistines. Y'all gotta read the story. Israel, we always been in conflict with these women. And so the Most High didn't want us killing his daughters. So it will be better off that what? That she be allowed to leave and be with another man. But like I said, then she would go to another man like we read in Deuteronomy. And if he found the same issue, he would cut her off. And that would be that. Now we see a pattern. Hey, come on, because that shows you what, just like the Bible speaks of vain and worthless men, it's women are the same. You have the women, you're gonna have women that the scriptures tell you about marriage is good, but give not thyself over to a light woman. And not talking about nice skin, it's talking about a woman of little substance. That's what it tells you. So continue on, Yatazar, read on down, and then we'll be done.
Verse 6. But from the beginning of creation, the Most High made them male and female. For this cause shall a man leave his father and mother and cleave to his wife.
So that's now he's going back to what? To Genesis, the end of Genesis chapter 2. It was meant for, we were meant to be like all of the animals be together until death. The lion be with his lioness until another one come and kill his ass and take the pride. The swans and the buffaloes and the elephants, they be with each other, and then when one of them die, the other one eventually die off. They don't get back together. But not Israel. Israel will run through a troop before their 21st birthday. Shoot. Male and female. You have to jump down to verse 11 and 12.
Verse 11. And he saith unto them, Whosoever shall put away his wife and marry another committeth adultery against her.
Now remember, we cleared that up. We cleared that up. That it's not saying he can't have another wife. It's saying he can't unjustifiably put her away to get another wife. We went to Deuteronomy chapter 21 and read verses 15 through 17 that shows you he can have another wife. And the issue that concerns the Most High is one of the heir. You got to be fair with whoever the heir is. Whoever's the firstborn, he gets recognized as the firstborn. And it has to do with material wealth. All right? Okay, that's the man. Verse 12.
And if a woman shall put away her husband and be married to another, she committeth adultery.
So we went to Esther chapter 1 and verses 1 through whatever to show that this was a custom that what? That wasn't operated or accepted, a woman leaving a man, up until the Persian Empire. It wasn't until the Greeks where because that's always been their number one strategy, and it's the same strategy today of the sons of the Greeks and Romans: divide and conquer, and divide on the household level, then divide on the community level, then divide on the national level. That's what they do. That's how they take down kingdoms. All right. So, sister, we're not done with that, but we're gonna pick it up next Friday. All right. So, what I want to go over next Friday concerning divorce, you guys make it a point to remember this. I'm going to remember it. The next step is we're going to read 1 Corinthians chapter 7, right? Verses 10 through 17, because this deals with divorce, but it deals with the modern times of what? A couple being divided because of the word of the Most High. It deals with a man that believes and a woman that doesn't, so she leaves him. It deals with a woman that believes, but a man that doesn't because she believes and he doesn't. So we got it, because those are the circumstances. Remember, Christ said, a person's foes shall be they of their own house when they get this word. So some couples come in and the Most High keep them together. Others come in and he split them. We're going to deal with that. Then we're going to go over the various risks that a woman runs. What are the risks involved in these days and in this day and age, in the truth of leaving your husband, and then even outside the truth, being without a husband? And we talk about the 60,000+ Black women that go missing. We talk about the untold amount of thousands of Latino and Native American women that go missing. And what is it that most of them got in common? They got no man to account for them, be it a father or a husband. And this is the result of having been made vulnerable through Esau's policies that he used to divide us. So now that we have a bunch of independent women that's on the back of milk cartons, have you seen me? Because remember, you got all these women going out. We should see that all the time out here. Groups of women coming out thinking, back in the day, this thing called tourism, when you get 12 girlfriends and go 7 girlfriends, we're going to go to Guatemala. Back in the day, just before 200 years ago, women went missing. If they did that, they wouldn't come back home. People would just take you. Women didn't go places unchaperoned. Look at what happened to Dinah. Jacob's daughter at the time, his only daughter at the time, went to the market and got raped. Now, don't get me wrong. That city paid dearly for that. And they tried to make it right, but there wasn't no right to be made the way it was done and with whom it was done. But that was because she had brothers that cared. And they even told their daddy, Jake was like, man, we even living in the middle of all of these people. It's only like 13 of us. What are you doing? Simeon and Levi said, well, you think they're going to be dealing with our sister like a whore and getting away with it? So what y'all do? We killed everybody in the whole town. And we brought all of their goods. And we brought the women and the children here for slaves. That's what 2 men out of Israel did when we were grossly outnumbered. That's that's the spirit in us to protect our women. Esau taught you that you don't belong to anything except the community. So now, and that's what they didn't taught the women to play, the community chest. Everybody's hands done been on them titties. That's the reality. That's what the community chest means today. So here we are being taught who we are, whose we are, the purpose for which we were created, and the Most High is ushering us through his word in Christ back to him. You understand? And so, like I said, the brothers know I like to be very thorough on every topic. And so there's a little bit more I want to give you, and then we'll be done with divorce after next Friday, all right? We should be, okay? But like every step of the way, I like to give examples if they can be given to help you really see, like when we read fornication, save for the cause of fornication. Well, now you understand. Fornication could be anything in violation of the law, but we read the most severest form being idolatry that included child sacrifice. But you could easily be a fornicator behind not following the ceremonial laws, or behind not following the dietary laws, or behind not following the laws of the civil laws, the laws of equity. You know, you out there got selling your things, your goods. In the case out here, like tortillas and pan, the stuff that the women sell, and you running around here selling your stuff for unfair prices. That's an abomination. The Most High said unjust weights and measures are abominable to him. You know, I want a pound of that. And you put a couple of apples in it and put your finger on the scale so they look like it got half, because he's supposed to get 10 apples, but he only gets 7 because you got your little finger down on the scale. People do that. Or they have, when it says unjust weights, they have little metal trinkets that weigh 5 pounds, so many ounces, and they'll have it written that it's 2 ounces, but the damn thing is really 5 ounces. The scriptures talk about, like, if you go to the third world, you can see how they do things. They still have the scales. Y'all know, and they put the thing in the basket. Oh, I want uno manzanas, I want a pound of that. Boom, and it comes to a pound. But you have people that configure it like we used to do when a woman get in the mirror and get on the scale, and we step up behind her and put our foot on it. And she be like, oh my God, I gotta go to the gym. Because we just added 30 pounds by stepping on the scale behind her, but she don't see it. That's how the people do. And the Most High said that is an abomination. So if you had a place where people came to your home to buy food, and you were exercising or using unjust weights and measures, your husband could put you away for that, because that's an abomination to the Most High. So these are all the things, but in the case that Christ gave, fornication, then, you know, he tells us why the provision for divorce was there is because what? Because the hardness of our heart. And so in order to demonstrate the hardness of the man's heart, we went and read the repercussion of Vashti and Azurias, and then David and Micaiah. So we clear on that tonight. All right, brothers and sisters, I'm gonna say shalom, and I'm gonna yatazai. I will see you tomorrow. And then brothers and sisters, I'll see you guys next Friday. Let me say this: y'all keep studying and keep your questions coming, because that's what this platform is for. This platform is for learning. You know how many people from this what do you call this live stream are going to benefit from your questions. So
I have a question.
Yeah. Ooh,
Okay.
Oh, okay. I was like, wait a minute, what voice is that coming from? But I see you.
Okay. I'm kind of new, so I get a little bit overwhelmed sometimes, and I will go and study, and like I'll counsel with one of the sisters, or I'll talk to them about it. But if you could just clarify and explain or expand a little bit more on how I should deal with that.
Well, you mean in the circumstances, you say you get overwhelmed. So
Yeah.
like, what is overwhelmed? That could be interpreted meaning like, do you like throwing dishes overwhelmed? Screaming,
Yeah, like
running out
I'm
in
just
front of
not one
cars
for
overwhelmed?
commitment.
Huh?
I'm just not really one for commitment, and I know this is a big commitment, and it's just overwhelming. I don't know.
So see now, and that's what I'm trying to determine. When you say overwhelming, is your reaction of being overwhelming as a result of what you're learning, or as a result of a relationship, as a result of being shown that you're going off in certain areas? In other words, what brings on the sense of overwhelming?
Yeah, I overthink. So like whenever I do something wrong, I'll overthink like how to resolve the issue, or like if something happens, I just always constantly probably have too much in my mind that I'm just, I don't know. I don't exactly know how to explain.
No, well, listen, I understand what you're saying, but how long have you been coming to class? How long have you been studying the Israelite way?
It's been like 2.5 months.
Oh, well, you're new. So
yeah, I'm new.
Let me say this. This is what your only responsibility at this point is to learn. Now, okay. So what I do, when I say learn, meaning, of course, you're going to learn the Israelite way, the laws, the statutes, and commandments, you're going to get more learning done the more you integrate with the congregation. But then you're going to have questions concerning the doctrine, salvation, the Holy Spirit, all of these things that we've been taught in church, right? That's going to come with time. Then the time is going to come when through your development and maturing, you're going to become an integral and dependent upon member of the body. In other words, you probably, I don't know, already doing it, participating in the activities that the sisters participate in, the sewing of the garments, things like that. Women's class, the Sabbath service. You just have to take time and learn. And as you learn, as you learn the phenomena of being overwhelmed, it will dissipate because this is so new to you. But what you do is, as you learn, you apply. You learn a little bit, and you're gonna make mistakes because it's new. So the more time you spend exercising it, the more time you spend being corrected, being shown the right way, the more it will become the new and normal you. Okay. So don't be too hard on yourself, because may I ask, how old are you?
I'm 26.
Okay, so have you been to school?
Yes.
What high school, university, college, anything like that?
Yeah, I went to some college.
Now, I'm just looking for a platform to give you an example on. So let's say you're a freshman in college. Are you ready for graduation at the end of that year?
No.
No, the idea is you got 4 more years. And so I use that because that can be just as overwhelming experience, especially if you done went away from home. Now you were used to going home after school in high school, but now here you are, you're in an environment where you have more freedom. In other words, that experience can be overwhelming, but with time, the person, the student, male or female, adapts to that new situation and how life is supposed to be maneuvered through at that level in the university. So it's how it is with it. You're in an institution, you're with a family who's teaching you about your Father, about your Heavenly Father. And so we know that you're not going to be what the Most High intends for you to be at the end of 2, 3, 4, 5 years. I've been doing this for 33 years, and I'm just getting started, to be honest with you. Because the more I learn, the more I see, wow, I'm behind. But the fact that as I learn, I continue to learn, I just use what I learn. And the more I use it, the more it becomes a natural part of me. So don't be hard on yourself. Don't take an experience that's designed to free your mind and bring you back to the Heavenly Father and make it a burden. Yeah. Because the Most High knows you need time to develop. And be glad that He brought you into this, because hell is coming, and it's coming fast.
Yeah.
All right, sister, what's your name?
Stevana.
Stevana?
Yeah, Stevana.
Okay, Stevana, it's a pleasure meeting you, sister. Stay loyal. And just remember, your only responsibility is to learn. That's it. Okay?
Okay.
All right. And then, of course, during the course of time, any questions for class, like anything, even this, I'll have scriptures for you.
Okay.
Okay?
All right. The water.
I am the bar sister. Okay, brothers and sisters. So you guys also know that y'all can let a ward know. Those of you that's linked up with me can write me, I'm a Yapia. He writes me with questions and stuff, or he'll make comments. So whatever you do, that's what this is about. This is about your guys' development. And I prefer this. So I don't know if you guys can see the difference on how class flows when the sources of interest come from you, as opposed to what it is I have prepared for learning. All right. So shalom, brothers and sisters. Love y'all. Y'all keep on fighting. Brother, what's your name? Say that again. Victor. Victor? Yeah. All right, Victor. Stay in there, brother. How old are you? 22. 22? Okay, man. You in the right place, and just in time. Take your time out and study. Take your time and learn. That's your job right now. You might have another job that you do to pay your bills, but your job right now with the Most High is to learn of Him. All right. And I expect for you to study, and I'll know you study or not, whether you come with questions. because this is for y'all. All right. All right, y'all enjoy your evening, and I will see you next Friday.
Shalom.
Shalom, brothers
Shalom.
and sisters. Shalom.